So I hope you have a wonderful day one, and it looks like a lot of people had a nice party yesterday night. So like most of the rooms are, still it's getting filled up, but it's okay. It's getting recorded, so like you can check it out afterwards as well. Okay. So before starting, like this talk is all about how you can contribute for open printing, because since quite yesterday also people were asking me like how we can start our journey in open printing and how we can contribute through GSOC or like some other programs and other stuff. Over the last few years, we had quite a good number of participation from IIT Kanpur in GSOC through open printing, and we are having it in other institutes as well. So in the initial part of this talk, I'll talk about what open printing is all about, and then I will take you through how you can start your open printing journey. Okay. Okay. So what we do actually in open printing, what exactly are we doing? So it actually, whatever you see printing in Linux, it's because of us. It's because of what we do that helps you in printing in Linux. Okay, so that's in short. So it works on the development of new printing architectures, technologies, printing infrastructure, interface standards for Linux and Unix style operating systems, collaborates with IEEE, ISTO printer working group, PWG, or on a couple of IPP projects, working with SAINT to make IPP scanning a reality. So we do not work on printing, we work on scanning as well. Okay. We maintain CUPS filters, which allows CUPS to be used in any Unix-based or like non-Mac OS system. Why I say non-Mac? Because CUPS filter is specific to non-Mac. Apart from Windows, so Windows is not using CUPS filter. So any Linux or any Unix-based operating systems are using CUPS filters. So probably at this point of time, if you are new to open printing, you will not get to understand what CUPS filter is. Maybe I can simplify it for you. We are responsible for the formatic database. I'll take you through what formatic database is, and we are working on the common print dialog backend projects. We have done quite a lot of things in the common printing dialog backends, and we are still doing it. Okay, so what is CUPS and what is CUPS filter? So I'm not sure if you had you were there in the talks of Michael Sweet, or Till's talks. Like CUPS is a common Unix printing system. So it is a printing system for, it is a printing system for Mac, and we are using it in Linux as well. So CUPS was, Michael Sweet was the main person who created CUPS, and Till make CUPS more popular in that way, because he introduced it in Linux. Probably in Mandrake Linux he introduced it. Okay, so right now Apple is not CUPS. Earlier Apple was maintaining it solely, but now they are not doing it. But CUPS filter is getting actively. It's under open printing. So we have CUPS also under open printing now. We have CUPS filter also under open printing now. So we are maintaining it. So whatever is printing in Mac, whatever is printing in Linux, whatever is printing in Unix, whatever is printing in Mac OS, it's all because of what we do, right? Okay. One simple question: how many of you have shifted yourself to e-copies or e-books or like the digital versions? How many of you are using things, using digital platforms? Okay. So almost like 50% of the audience, right? How many of you are like wearing a badge? You have a badge today, right? You have got your badges. I can see a couple of them with orange badges. I can see a couple of them with green badges. So if you can pick it up, you see something over there. You see a hard copy. Is it a digital one? No, right? You have things printed over there. It's a hard copy, right? You have lanyards, it's printed over there. So you cannot do away with printing. Whatever technological advancements we have in our day-to-day life, however, I mean, we move to shift to digital stuff. We shift from reading hard copy books to Kindles and other stuff, but we cannot do away with printing. So that is the importance of printing. While you are going to the airport and all, you might be seeing all digi-yatras where they are saying go digital, go. I mean, we are going away for printing, but still they're using. Many of them are using boarding passes where it's printed. Hoardings are getting printed. So printing will not go away. Printing has to stay. Okay. This is just an example of what we are doing. Okay, can we have these lights off, please? Lights. Is it possible? I'll space. We can continue. And can you take a pic of me when I speak? Yes, yes. Yes. Okay, so earlier when I mean, if you have got a printer at your home, if you have bought a printer, what is the standard protocol that we are doing? We say, suppose we bought a printer for company X. Here I am given the example of Lexmark, which is a printer manufacturing company. You go to there, you have bought a printer from the market, you go to the website of Lexmark, you choose a driver which belongs to that particular model of the printer, you download that driver, and it gives you the list of drivers, and you download it, you install it, okay, and then you will be able to print with it, right? So without the proper driver, you cannot print from your printer. So what exactly is a driver? That helps you. It's a kind of like, it helps you to interact with the OS. So it sits in between the firmware and the OS. So it's kind of doing a handshaking between your firmware and your OS, which helps you in printing. So just think of the pain that you have to take, right? You are buying a printer. Either you get it as a CD, or they tell you to go to the website where you need to search for that particular printer model. You need to download it, you need to install it, and then you need to print from it, right? You have to follow all these steps while printing. So but the interesting part is, this is history. We are no more doing it. How are we doing it now? That's interesting. It's all driverless. Okay. Why I say driverless? Can you go to the back? Why I say driverless? There is no need to install a driver from the website if you are using a modern printer. There is no need. So your printer works, as good as your pen drive. When you're using a pen drive, you plug in your pen drive, you can simply copy or do whatever you want from your pen drive, right? Same thing happens for printing. You buy a printer, if it's a modern printer, you just plug it in, and you will be able to, you just do a Control P, you will be able to print out of it. And whatever I am speaking of is for non-Windows OS. Windows has also made a lot of advancements, but still it's not an open source in Windows. So I'm talking of Linux, Mac, Unix-based operating systems, where you just do a Control P, you select your document, you print out of it. Now, how is that happening? Next one. Is the video running?
But one thing you have to be careful. We have recently discovered some very cheap USB only, so there are no network functionality, no Wi-Fi, no internet, which are not actually drivers. You should check that it's a Wi-Fi printer or Ethernet printer, and that it has some thing like AirPrint or Movia or IIT everywhere written on the box. And if this is the case, the printers drivers. Most of them are, even cheap ones, but there are very few, very, very cheap ones, which are not drivers.
Okay, so I'll share the slides with everyone, like it will be uploaded in the portal. So here is a nice video. You can watch that video over there. So this is how it works. You do a control P. It will list down the printers that are available in the network or over USB. You select that particular printer and you print out of it. It's as simple as that. No driver installation is required. Nothing is required. It's just plug and play. Next one, please. How does it work? So when you are in a network, what your when you try to do a control P, it will be there will be a, I'm not getting to too much of technicalities with regards to printing, so I'm just trying to put it in a very broad aspect so that it is easier for you to understand. So when you do a control P, it's a kind of a broadcast message that is sent across. So any printer which is in that particular network or which is connected in USB listens to that, and it will check like, okay, I have a call from a particular laptop or from a particular PC who wants to know whether I support IPP printing, or it is asking for me to share my details with them. Okay, say suppose I'm asking a question. How many of you know a particular thing? Okay, how many of you know what is IoT? So you respond back to me giving a list of things or that you know. It's as simple as that. So there is a broadcast message that is sent, and all the printers respond to it saying that, hey, I am supporting these features. I'm supporting duplex printing. I'm supporting A3. I'm supporting A4. I'm supporting X, Y, Z, and all these things. Okay, it's a JSON file that is sent. So now from your host, you have received the entire details of all the printers that are connected in the network. You parse it and you show it in the UI. Okay, printer A is there, printer B is there, printer C is there. And when a particular person clicks on a particular printer, you show the features that are supported by that printer. And then you select what you need and then you print out of it. So that is how the entire ecosystem is working. And all this is happening because of the contributions that people are doing in open printing. Okay, so it is happening because of that. So that is why your contributions for open printing are very important. We have couple of interesting projects in the last few years in open printing, which has helped us in achieve all these things. Okay, so now comes the second part of the talk. How do I contribute to open printing? Or I have been getting a lot of queries of like how do I do a GSOC for open printing? Because it's quite a popular thing now. We have 11 selections this year in 2024, and last year also it was like 6. So the amount of GSOC projects that are there in open printing is quite high. So I'm getting a lot of interest in that area. But I want to tell you, like, do not limit yourself just to GSOC or program X or program Y or program Z, because we do not want people who just want to come to us or like contribute to for open printing just for GSOC. We don't want them, and we have made it a criteria in our selection list as well. We are selecting those people who have the capacity to contribute on a long-term basis, because we don't want people who will come contribute for 3 months, get a good amount of money, 1.5 lakhs or 2 lakhs or whatever it is based on the geography that you are in, and then go away and then forget printing. We do not want those kind of people. So we want people who can contribute with us on a long-term basis. I'll show you the reasons, what are the benefits of for long-term contributions. So how to start? First thing is go to our webpage openprinting.org. You can see what we are doing, whatever I talked of. You can see over there. You can there are a couple of interesting stuff. You can read about open printing. You can check the details. Next thing is you can send and you can join our Telegram group and just send a message like, how do I start? Then what we do is either myself or we will or somebody from the senior folks will send you a list of assignments, simple ones, right? Simple one means like we'll tell you, we'll give you an assignment of how to install cups, how to build cups, how to put in a log statement, and how to build it. Okay, so once you do it, you will understand how things are done, and we'll ask you like, okay, print a simple statement in the log. Okay, so that will give you a feel of how the entire ecosystem works, how does cups works, how do you do a change in it, how do you modify it. Okay, once you are done, next thing is you join the community, or rather, while you're doing it, you are already in the community, right? We have a Telegram group that is the most active group that we have, and there are a couple of people who are ready to help. There will be your, if you are from this college or other college, there will be your seniors whom you can reach out to, or like your college folks also. And the last but not the least one is issue. If you have heard me speaking on, while we were speaking on the first talk yesterday, so check out the good first issue. What is a good first issue? That's the most simplest issue to work on. That will give you the confidence of how to, start with open printing. Or it's okay, you can just check the, if you are very new to open source, go ahead and read the written document, do some cosmetic change, that is fine. And once you are done, tell us like, okay, give me an issue to work on, we will give you an issue to work on. Okay, and if you are planning for GSOC 2025, because GSOC 2024, it's already going to end in some months, 1 or 2 months. So if you are planning for 2025 GSOC, you should start from now. Okay, because typically it will be like during January, February time frame, where the GSOC announcements will come up and they will ask you to submit your proposals and all. So while you submit your proposal, we'll try to see like whether you have been contributing to open source, or like whether you have been contributing to open printing for the last few months, or what has been your contribution to open printing, right? So if we see that you had been doing it for a couple of months, I mean, that is one of our selection criterias. Okay, so we consider that we will, I mean, because we'll be having, I mean, every year at least I get 500 plus CVs in my mailbox, people showing their interest to start working on open printing. Okay, they'll put in their CVs, or they'll put in the emails, I have this CGPA, I have worked in this, I have worked in that. We don't care about that. What is your CGPA, where you are from, which college, which institute, which stream, we don't care about that. You can be from anywhere, we don't care about that. What we care about is what you have contributed in open printing for the last couple of years. What is your potential to be a long time contributor? That's what we care about. We do not care about anything else. You can, I mean, we're least bothered about what is your CGPA, what is your like which institute you are from, or what you have been doing. Okay, so this is one of our criteria. This is GSOC 2023. So we had 6 projects in GSOC 2023. If you want to learn more about these projects, you can go to the Linux Foundation wiki page and like you can get those details. We had many of them like Kushagra Sharma, Akarshan Kapoor, Mohit, Pratyush, Gayatri, and Yuvraj. And so these were our last year contributors. And interesting part is we had a couple of students who started as a contributor, or who started as a with GSOC as a student, and they got matured to a mentor. There is we are talk today from Deepak. So he was a student, and then now he is a mentor. So that's how the ecosystem works out. Okay. This is the scene for this year. We had 11 selections. So Linux Foundation got 19, and out of that 19, 11 are open printing projects. Okay. So Akarshan, this is his second year. Rudra Pratap Singh, Vishwadeep, Kushagra, Shivam, Ankit, Kaushik. So all of these people, and next slide. So there is Jomji, Shivam, Uddhav, and Arun. So these are our 2024 selections. And one interesting thing is, I'll not say interesting. So if there are continuing, they will get good stipends, and this kind of things boost. This gives a boost to your CV and all, and you know GSOP. I mean, is there anyone who doesn't know about GSOP? Okay, so everyone knows about GSOP, right? And you know what is the importance of it, what benefit it gives to you. I mean, apart from the stipend and the monetary part. Though the stipend based on the geo that you are from, so maybe the stipend for India is different from that of US, is based on the cost of living of that particular country. But I just wanted to tell you what is the scene for 2024. So it's a quite a number of high selections. So 11 is quite a good amount, and it's not that we just randomly pick this person. Okay, so we have seen what they are contributing to open source, what they have been contributing for open printing, and what are their potentials. Yes, we cannot be correct for 100% of the cases, but these are certain things which we are checking before selecting a particular candidate, apart from their technical capabilities. Of course, technical capability is one of the primary factors, right? But in nutshell, if you are planning for 2025, your 2025 application, you should start from now.
And one thing, if you want to know more about the Google Summer of Code, on this conference today after lunch at 3 o'clock in this room, Avik and me, we will be hosting a Google Summer of Code panel. We will have on the panel several people who have been Google Summer of Code contributor or mentor or both, mainly for open printing. And you have the big chance to ask your questions during that session.
Right. So just to give you another information, myself and Till, we are the org admins for the entire Linux Foundation Google Summer of Code projects. So it's not only about open printing, we are doing it for the entire Linux Foundation projects for GSOP. So anyone who gets selected in any of the projects under the Linux Foundation umbrella, be it for kernel, be it for automotive grade Linux, be it for IIO, be it for Zephyr, it's through us. So you can join that session where you will get to know more about how it has been last 20 years of GSOP. So this is the 20th year of GSOP. Okay. Here are some snaps from the Opportunity Open Source 1.0, 1.0 event, which happened in IIT Mandi last year. So I'll give you an idea of how it transpired or how it worked out. So last year, Till was planning to come to India to join a conference. Then I said, like, since we are having why don't we do a student meetup, right? So it will be nice to meet people and talk to them. Then we thought, like, when we are going there, why don't we do it as or why don't we invite our other open source colleagues and request them to talk on open source? Okay, so since I'm also a Zephyr ambassador for India, so like I invited a couple of Zephyr folks and requested them, and also there were people from kernel who talked virtually. And it worked out to be a mini conference. So we had a 2-day mini conference in IIT Mandi, and it was between the Himalayas, where we were having nice time, and probably Till tasted it first butter chicken. In a small dhaba near the campus with the Bias River flowing from in the foothills. So it was really nice. That's how we came up with Opportunity Open Source 1.0. And then this year, we had a couple of interests from other folks, and IIT Kanpur was one of them. They also wanted to host it. And that's how it started. So we thought of, like, okay, let's have a 2.0 version. And if all goes well, we'll have a 3.0 next year as well. Right? Okay, next one. So this was DEF CONF 2023, where Till participated, and he had a talk on open printing.
Yes, I had even 2 talks, and this was the nice thing. The first talk, 2 days after our conference in Mandi, this talk I was reporting from Monday, what we have done there, and so on. So very fresh and new, they got informed there on the DebConf.
Yeah. So Till and I have traveled to many places across the globe speaking on open printing. So we have been to Linux Plumbers as well. I have been to Google Mentor Summit a couple of times this year also. This month also, I'll be traveling to San Francisco to speak on the Google Mentor Summit. But what is important is the next part. Okay. So this is about the Ubuntu Summit. It was in Riga last year, and it was Akarshan Kapoor who went and spoke in Ubuntu Summit. And I'm not sure if you have seen, Akarshan Kapoor was our last year GSOC student. Okay, so what he worked on GSOC, he presented it, or like he submitted it as a talk for the Ubuntu Summit in Riga, and his talk was accepted, and he got a full paid trip to Riga to present his talk in Riga. And he is traveling this time as well in Amsterdam it's all because of what he contributed to open printing. So what's the benefit of I mean, I'm not telling you should only contribute to open printing. Open source is all about open printing. It's not that, but there are many other organizations where you can contribute. But the benefit of open printing is it's a small organization. It's not as big as other organizations, so we are a very small group. So it's like small fish in a big pond versus a big fish in a small pond. Okay, so since the group is very limited, it's a very refined group or a small group. So if you are performing well, if you are contributing well, your chances of getting noticed is quite higher with respect to the other groups where you need to compete with lot of people. Okay, so if you are a consistent performer or if you are a consistent contributor, your chances of getting selected for presenting your talks in different conferences or traveling across the globe or getting stipends or contributing for these kind of events, it grows, it gives you more visibility and chances to our opportunities. Let me go to the next slide. Okay, so Sahil Arora, who is already there in this conference and he had a talk last year, yesterday as well. So it's me presenting about Sahil's contribution for his GSOC 2017 and 2018
in the Google Summer of Code Mentor Summit.
Correct.
The mentors of the Google Summer of Code have a meeting once a year. There are one mentor per organization is invited to Google, to the United States, to Sunnyvale, where they have their office, and there they do some meetup over weekend, and there are also some lightning talks and presentations, and Avik has told about Sahil's work.
So this is one of the most important conferences, most important summits where there will be many people who will be joining that summit. So we projected Sahil because of all that he did. And another interesting part, what is the benefit if you work for open printing? So if you work on something interesting in open printing and if it gets accepted and if the fix is merged or if it is finally accepted, that goes into Ubuntu first, okay? And it's all because of Till, because he is a leader for open printing and he works for Canonical, who is managing Ubuntu. So whatever you contribute gets into Ubuntu first, and your name gets written in the file and in the history of Ubuntu. So now Sahil worked on TCL and driver. It's a kind of a CUPS filter which helps you in file conversions and it helps you in printing. So if you go and search the CUPS filter code, you will see Sahil's name over there. So this kind of things you will not get in other places, like this kind of visibility. So that's a benefit. Your name gets written in the history of Linux. And the next person is Ritvik. Ritvik is an IIT Kanpur grad. I mean, he has already passed out in 2019 or 2017, if 2018 probably. So he was our GSOC candidate for 2017 and 2018, and this is This is a picture of him talking in Linux Plumbers. Okay, so Linux Plumbers is one of the most prestigious events in the history of in the Linux circle, or in the open source circle, not Linux circle, in the open source circle. Not many people get to speak over there, but we were running an MC over there, so micro conference over there, and Ritvik was selected as one of the students to travel there, all paid by Linux Foundation, and present what he has done in the Linux Plumbers conference. So this is a picture from 2019, and it happened in Lisbon. And this is Ritik Pratinanda. He was from this institute who went to travel there to speak on what his contributions were in the Linux Plumbers. So that is the visibility you get when you work on open printing. Okay. Does anyone who knows the guy on the right? No, I'm not talking about the person on the left. I'm talking about the person on the right. Jokes apart, this is Linus Torvalds. So I guess you all know who he is. All that we are talking about open source and all these things is because of he has a lot of contribution in making open source popular. I mean, you speak to anyone who is new to open source, he will say, "Yeah, Linux." So I mean, there are many people who think it's open source is all about Linux and Linux is all about open source. Okay, but because he made it popular, though open source is now it's a broad spectrum. So I met Linus in Linux Plumbers conference in 2019, and I asked him, "What is your thought on open printing, or what do you think of open printing or printing?" So he said, like, "Okay, I'll give you a note," or rather, I told him, like, you can put a note. So this is what he had written. I am actually happy to say that all my printers have been working fine for several years now. So that is why we say we just make printing work. If you have seen our logo, it's open printing and it's written we make printing work. So maybe while printing, if you are not facing any problem, that's all because of the contributions people are making in open printing. They are making it hassle free. Okay.
Yes, and it's not only Linus Torvalds. There are many people, not necessarily important developers, not simply normal people on conferences, and I'm on many conferences. Each and every conference, there are at least 3 or 4 who are saying thank you to me about how easy printing is for them, and often they say printing is much easier than under Windows or Mac.
Yeah. So that was all about it. So any questions? Any questions on open printing, or how I contribute to open printing, or what I need to do, or anything? Okay, so all good. We will be around. So if in case you want to ask anything, so you can definitely feel free to ask us. Okay. The next talk, we'll quickly shift to the next talk because we are like we are quietly.
It's a snap talk by me.
No. The next talk is like on Ziffer.
No, it's
no.
Who knows?
Okay, since we are in a delayed schedule, I'll quickly jump to my next talk, which is all about how to contribute for Ziffer. So that's.
Okay.
I mean, is there anyone who doesn't know about Ziffer, or like who knows about Ziffer? While the next slide is being put up, I'll just try to like give you some intro about Ziffer. So who knows about Ziffer? No one? Okay. So there were some interesting talks. I mean, yesterday as well, and today also there will be more talks on Ziffer. Ziffer is the IoT RTOS. Okay, what do you mean by an RTOS? It's a real-time operating system. And what is real-time operating system? Real-time operating system means everything has to happen now. So Ziffer is an IoT RTOS. which can fit in any particular hardware, which cannot have, which does not have the capacity, or which does not have the space to accommodate Linux. Okay, it's very small. It can fit into any particular memory constrained device. So that is Zephyr. And it's one of the highly contributed open source projects now. It's being used by many corporates, many hardware or IoT, people working on IoT. It's having support for many boards. So it's one of the very popular open source projects now. So let me take you through how you can start your contribution for Zephyr. As I said, Zephyr is a small real-time operating system for connected, resources constrained, and embedded devices, with an emphasis on microcontrollers and supporting multiple architectures released under Apache 2.0. Right? So it can fit in your smartwatch. It can fit in any particular place which doesn't have enough memory. It can gradually, when we move on, we'll see like where Zephyr is being used. So it includes the kernel and all the components, libraries, device drivers, protocol stacks, file system, firmware updates need to develop full application software. So it's an entire package. And one nice thing about Zephyr is it's a very nicely contributed, nicely maintained open source project where there is a very nice governance. There will be multiple open source projects that are there in this particular world, but I mean, either it will be contributed highly, there will not be any governance, or the vice versa. But Zephyr has a nice blend of both the things. So if your open source project is not there is not a proper governance, so you cannot grow that particular open source group or project. Okay, so we'll see more. Okay, so what are the use cases of real-time operating systems? Okay, so they are used in industrial IoT, they are used in asset tracking, they are used in wearables, worker safety, healthcare, automotive. So you cannot wait. Decision making has to be very fast because it's real time, right? So say suppose you are doing an asset tracking or you are doing a healthcare, you cannot wait. You cannot afford to wait for something. It has to be very fast. But that's actually where IoT helps, and you need to support that your hardware. You need a very strong RTOS, which can make this decision making very faster. So it's small. It's less than 8 KB of flash, 5 KB of RAM. Now you can imagine the amount of disk space it requires, right? So it doesn't need a big space. So it's a very small thing that is required. It's a very small space that is required. It can fit in anywhere. So primarily where your Linux operating system cannot fit in, you can use Zephyr because it's open source. But it is scalable. You can attach many small sensors to complex multi-core systems. You can use it for anything. It's very pluggable, it's very scalable, yet it is small, flexible and secure. So it's heavily customizable, out of the box support for 600 plus boards plus 100 plus sensors. So there are many hardware boards which has support, and recently it has been supported for Arduino as well. Okay, and it's secure because, like as I said, there is a strong governance in place for Zephyr. So security is one of the most important things. So it's very, it's being used in many places. So without security, you cannot use this kind of things, right? So security is something which is being taken care of. As I said, it's open source, and there is a very good ecosystem. What do we mean by ecosystem? It's like there is a very vibrant community. Okay, so you'll get to see very less open source projects which has a very vibrant community, a very effective community. So you get into Zephyr Discord channel, you ask a question, immediately you get a response. So that is something helps you to assess how good is the community, and it's supported by major silicon vendors starting from Intel to ST Electronics to NXP. You name one, they will be having the support for Zephyr, and it's supported by them. They're sponsoring. Okay, next one. Features, so lightweight kernel and supporting drivers, services, portable, highly connected. So you name one, Bluetooth, 5.0, Wi-Fi, IoT, USB, it has support for everything. And it's a complete developer environment. You do not have to think too many things. So it's a tool chain support, logging, emulation, testing framework, everything is there. So whatever is required is there. Why? Because there are contributors from all these silicon vendors who are using Zephyr. There are contributors from many other organizations who are actively contributing, and whatever has been to develop any standard operating or standard software, whatever is needed, it has a support for that. Next one. Interesting products running Zephyr today. So starting from mouse to hand gloves to turbines to hearing aids to laptops, Chrome OS, Chromebook. It's using actually Zephyr. There is a workshop going on in some time, so where you'll get to see like how Zephyr is being used in Chrome OS in the firmware. Okay, that's the importance of Zephyr. And another most important thing is, if you're interested to contribute for IoT, if you're interested to contribute for RTOS, Zephyr is a place. Next one. This is a hearing aid. Okay, this has been developed by this company Oticon, and this is like based out of Zephyr. So, I mean, the interesting thing is the Bluetooth feature. Like, it features a Bluetooth wireless technology for seamless connectivity to your favorite device. I'm not sure if there will be other hearing aids will be supporting this kind of thing. Because of the Bluetooth support, Bluetooth module, it helps you to connect with other devices via Bluetooth. It's being used in turbines as well. So you can understand the magnitude. You are using Zephyr in your hearing aid, which is a very small device. You are using it in your turbines, which is this is the magnitude of the usage of Zephyr. This is your notebook, right? Lightweight, high performance 13.5 notebook. So it's used in the Chromium EC. So Chromebook is using Zephyr. This happened probably last year. So if you are more interested, so we have folks from Google who have come with their nice Chromebooks, and they're giving a demo of how they're using Zephyr in Chromebook. You can reach out to them; they will be around. So to understand how you can also contribute for Chromebook, or like the entire thing is open source. So you can check the code, what they have done. You can learn from them. You can also collaborate with them. This is even used, in the professional grade digital tape measure. Does anyone know what is a digital tape measure? So typically, when we think about any measuring tape, you remember those long kind of tapes where you ask someone to hold it at one end and you pull it at the other end, right? So digital tape is like it's a kind of a device where there will be a kind of race sort of thing, and you just move it and it will help you measure it. And this is a company, Recon, which is using Zephyr for their product. This is another one. So it's like it turns your wired sensors for IP67 rated battery operated stuff. So this company is also using Zephyr. It's Azurio, which is like using the Bluetooth 5 support. So Zephyr is used in every particular place. Yesterday there was a talk from Oliver where they're using Zephyr for wastewater management in German railways, right? Zephyr is being used in printing as well. So there are many printer companies who are, I mean, if you have seen those big size printers, which in India we typically call it Xerox. But many of them do not know like Xerox is a company, but typically it's a colloquial term that we use for the copier machine. So if you have seen the big copier machines, which has a nice panel on the top, how is the panel? I mean, nowadays all modern devices, they have pretty nice touch screen panels, right? So many, I mean, there are companies who have started using Ziffer as a backend OS, a backend RTOS, because it's a small the panel on the top, it doesn't have that much amount of memory. You cannot put in a big hard disk there and expect it to do everything. You have a small space, so they are putting in Ziffer to take care of stuff. 750 plus supported boards and it's growing. Okay, so recently the support for Arduino has been added. I remember, like in 2019, I was talking with a few Ziffer experts and the TSC steering committee at
yeah, it was time for me to make my proposal.
there are many.
So I picked a
students in India
project
who are
idea that
interested
was
to
called
contribute
Music
for
Blocks
Ziffer, but one of
JavaScript
the
Export.
blockers is like
Now, like I
the
said,
boards
Music Blocks
are
is
not
this visual
easily
programming
available
platform.
in
You build
India,
programs
even
using
though
these
if it is
graphical
it's very
syntax elements.
expensive.
Right?
So
The idea of
we
this
should have
project
a
was that
support
you
for
would be
Arduino
having a
because
JavaScript
it's
API that would,
easily
when
available.
you write the
You
programs in
get
that
it for
JavaScript
350
API, it
rupees
would
or
be
300
sort of a
rupees in
parallel
Amazon,
match
and
of
like any
the
student
graphical
can
program.
afford it, right?
And
So why don't we
well,
have a
the
support for
more
it?
critical part of
An
that was to
interesting
actually take
fact
these
is, like
existing Music Blocks
probably
programs that you write
last
using
year there
these
was
graphical
for
elements
last year there was
and actually
a GSOC
transcribe
project
that to the JavaScript
where
content.
this Arduino
So
support
again,
was
this was
added,
about
and it
code
was added
generation.
by
I
Dhruva.
had no
Dhruva
idea
is
how to
also
do
here
that.
in the
Right?
conference. He spoke
So again,
yesterday,
I
so like if you want, you can speak to him as well.
I kind of figured
And
that
it
I
was,
can kind
was
of
really a
explain.
nice
Again,
thing.
doesn't
And
really
now
matter,
Arduino
but
has a support
sort of in the
for,
flow of things.
Ziffer.
So what I
it's-
really
you-
did
if
was
you
that
want,
I
you
had to
can
generate
use
JavaScript code.
Arduino to see, like,
So
how
JavaScript,
you
as in
interact with Ziffer,
some of
how
you
it
might know,
handles
some of
the
you may not
sensor,
know.
what
So
you can
JavaScript
do,
has a specification. Every
with,
programming language generally
and,
has a specification. The specification
Ziffer
is
is
called
also
ECMAScript, ECMA script.
So
Okay.
this
And
year,
these languages,
we did not have
dynamically
any
programmed
projects in
languages like JavaScript and
Ziffer,
Python,
but
they have these
last year
intermediate
it was
program
there, and
structure
hopefully we'll
called
have it in
abstract
the coming
syntax
years
trees.
as well.
So like if you
And
can
it
get
was
to the
me
abstract
who
syntax trees, you
introduced
can actually get
Ziffer
to the
to
JavaScript
GSOC
code. I
as
can
well.
generate JavaScript code.
So
So I
hopefully
thought
we'll
like
be having
that's what I'm
some
gonna do.
interesting projects
So
next year.
I took the that's what I was proposing, that I take Music Blocks programs and then
20 plus
create
sensors are already
sort of a
integrated.
tree-like
If you
structure
want
and
to
then
know
translate
more
that
details
tree
on
to
what are these sensors, so you
an
can
abstract syntax
go
tree.
to
That's
this
for
particular,
JavaScript. It's
page
called the
in
ES tree
GitHub.
specification.
You can see,
And
like, what are
well,
the sensors
and then once I have the tree, I can serialize to JavaScript.
which
So
has
that's what I
the
proposed.
support for
My
Ziffer.
proposal
So
was
if you are
accepted.
planning to build your own,
Well, I now had to
own
work
product in
like 3 months.
IoT product, you
Well,
can
something
use
interesting happened.
easily your
That
Ziffer,
was sort of
and, you
like,
can
I didn't
plug
plan
in
for
many,
this.
many sensors, because
Music
in
Blocks
the
is a
IoT
pretty
world,
big
it's
project. It was a
primarily
pretty
about
big project for me.
sensors
I had
and
never
some
done
other
anything
boards
that big.
supported to it,
I mean,
right?
until that point.
There
We
was
had like, many tens of
interesting
thousands of lines of code.
concept,
and,
or one interesting
close
thought
to
that
a,
was going on,
close
like
to
in,
100 source code
remote
files.
places in India,
So,
where
what really
they do
happened
not
is like,
have enough
it was
doctors to
still
take
a
care of
monolith.
people.
Everything was kind of jumbled
So
together.
what they were
So
planning
I
is,
had to
there will be one
sort of,
person who
move,
can take the
lots of
statistics,
code around. So I had to do
of
refactoring.
people, like,
Because again, this is
measure the
something I learned
virus.
organically. So when you have a very big project,
image
you cannot
processing,
have everything talking to each other. It
and
pretty much become
it will
unfeasible at some
be,
point. So you
the analysis
introduce
will be
something
done by
called
somebody
layering.
who is sitting
You do a reuse code.
for all
You
those
have,
things,
there
need
are
a
some
proper
benefits to
sense.
that, because
Also,
feasibility
there
of
is
the
one
program
interest.
becomes easier.
know,
It's
like, I
easier
was,
to
reading about
find
a
bugs. It's
company
easier
that,
to test.
like,
So, like
they
again,
are
I sort of
monitoring
learned that
patients at their home
in a very
based.
organic way.
So the
I
patient
mean, there
will be
are
at home,
like
they do
proper
not
ways.
need to be
There
in a
are these
hospital.
architectural patterns
There will
called
be a
model view
device
controller,
connected
model
under the
view
bed
controller.
where it will
So
track
all they
the
basically do is like
essential
they separate
vitals, and if
the
there is
state,
anything critical,
they
the
separate
doctor
the
will
business
be
logic
alerted
from the
in the
presentation logic.
hospital.
That's kind of
Benefit
what
is,
I
like,
had
the
to do.
patient doesn't have
So I
to
spent
stay
like
in
2
the
months doing
hospital.
that.
So it's
And
like,
then once I
they will
did
stay
that,
at home,
I had
but
moved a lot
their
of the code.
vital
I had like
statistics will
rearranged the code.
always be monitored by
I had
somebody at the
like
hospital.
implemented a
And if
lot of
something goes
modularization.
wrong, maybe the
Made some
automatically
self-contained
the
pieces. So after that, I was able to
called,
like
so there will
do
be
my
a
part. I was able to make the JavaScript API. I was able to generate my JavaScript code using the abstract syntax trees,
take the
and
patient
I
to
also
the
made like a
hospital.
code editor.
So that's a benefit, and for that
integrate
you
all that
need
up.
sensors. So
It was
there should
actually
be
a
a
lot
very
of
good
work.
handshaking
I mean,
between
I
the
had,
IoT,
I think, 250 commits
and
and
the
51
sensor.
pull
If you do not
requests.
have
So it
enough
was, a lot of work.
support for your sensors,
Generally,
you
like
cannot,
most
go
projects
ahead
don't really require
with
that
that.
kind of work, but some
Next
projects do require some work. Okay, so that was my experience, working
Supported hardware
on a
architectures.
big project.
So
So what are the
it's
takeaways?
already
Well,
supported
there were
like
two.
major hardware architectures.
So the first is what I
starting from,
described, that when you have a big
ARM
project,
to
you cannot,
Intel to RISC,
keep having a monolith.
then
You need to
ARC.
break it up. You need more modularized structure. You need to have more layering.
But it has a
That's
very
sort of what I
vibrant
learned in
ecosystem.
organic.
I already told.
And
So there are
the
training
other thing what I
courses
really
available,
learned
there are
is that
firmware
how
libraries
to get
available,
comfortable
application
with a very
development
large
board,
project.
steering committee contributors,
I had
development tools.
like
If you
I
want
didn't have an
physical
experience
as
dealing
well
with
to
large
see,
projects. I
like
could
what are
only
the next plans
build
for
small
Breakout.
projects. I could only work with small projects, and these small projects I pretty much understood them inside out.
These are the
Just have a
platinum
few
members.
files, few thousand
So
lines of
starting
code.
from Google to Nordic,
But
Qualcomm
for
to
like
Zeiss
Music
to
Blocks was pretty
Opticon,
large in
NXP,
comparison,
Intel,
right?
Meter,
I couldn't feasibly
Apple
learn
devices.
everything,
So
or
there
every
are
source
many,
code,
many
every
sponsors
like
of
piece of the
like
source code,
many
every
platinum
file.
members for
So
Zeiss.
I kind of
So
had
that is the
to,
importance of
get
super
used to
integrated system.
the unknown, that there are parts to it. Like most,
These are the
you're not
silver
going to
members. I
understand
don't
most
want
of the
to
code.
go on
And
this
that's
much,
going to
but
happen
there
with
are
like
many,
most
many,
like projects that are
silver
quite
members.
sizable.
So
You
ST
wouldn't understand like
Microelectronics
bulk of it.
has
You still have to get your
sponsored
work done, right? So
so
what
the
you do is
hardwares
you need
are
to get an
available
idea
for,
from a very high level how
coordinators.
it works.
If you
You
want
need
to
to get an
check
idea
around
of the
those
overview,
boards,
the
feel
flow of
free
it.
to reach out to
But
them.
then you don't really need to learn
Beagle
every
board
single
and
part.
ST Electronics
And I think that really happens because when you really
check
work
with the
professionally,
coordinators.
you're working on big softwares, and there are lots of other people working like with you, right?
As I
So
said, it's
the
a
thing is getting
vibrant
modified. You
ecosystem.
cannot possibly learn
So
everything. You cannot possibly have idea
check
about it.
out the Discord
So
channel.
that's the takeaway.
You can reach out to
And
anyone
okay,
in the Zika
now
community.
it's
They will help you
time for the
learn
third
in
part
a better
and
way.
beyond.
You can,
Okay,
you can
so these
go
are
to
going
the
to be
Zika
my
website.
experiences that
There
are
will be
on top
some
of
demos,
the
there will be
the
some
Google Summer of Code
tutorials
experience.
which can help you
So
start this journey.
after Google Summer of Code completed, I think I was having a meeting with
This
like,
is
two of the
this is
maintainers
one of the
a month or two later.
statistics. Probably
So this
gives
was
you
time
a
for
good
some
idea
reflection.
of
I had been
how,
using working on the
how
music
well
blocks
contributed project this
the
is
source code for
in
like
comparison
four
to
and a
the
half months at that
other
point.
Artos, right? So it
Um,
has the list of
well, I had
couple of
some
other
complaints,
Artos, and
right?
you can see the graph for
So
the
again,
class.
like this thing
So
happens,
it's
and
self-explanatory.
this thing
I
is
don't
something
have to
that you
explain
must
anything
anticipate.
to you, but
Okay.
with the
So it's like
steepness of
the
the
law of
curve,
thermodynamics. That,
you can
entropy
see like
always
how
increases.
well
So
contributed
in
this
any
is.
project, tech debt piles up with time. So this is
Number of
inevitable.
commits
And,
per month.
you
You
sort
just
of need
compare it with the
regular
other Artos and you
maintenance.
see the
Otherwise,
number of
things will
commits.
grow out of control, and at some
So
point,
that is
well,
how it
it
is
won't be
going.
feasible to do anything on that. So that was sort of
So
what I was
this is the history, like
complaining
how
about.
Zephyr
So
has
these are
been
bigger
developed
issues.
from the
No, these are not
from
issues
its
like
inception
a
to
button isn't
2014,
working,
how
something
it
isn't
has
showing up. These are issues like
So this is the
well,
importance of
these are
Zephyr.
more foundational issues. But then before I talk about these issues,
Clones and unique
let me
visitors.
actually
This
give you a bit
graph
of
gives you
history
the
of the
number of
project,
unique
Music Blocks
visitors,
project, because I think
for Zephyr.
when
So
when there is tech debt,
186
there
unique
is
visitor
a very
clones
good
per
reason
day.
why that is.
And you can
See,
imagine
it's important to respect the reasons. So Music Blocks was started in 2016. Remember, I just told that
And it has
when I
one
discovered Music Blocks was written in vanilla technologies. Okay.
This data is
So Music Blocks actually was built on top of another
it
project
was
called
taken in
TurtleBlocks.js. So that project was started in 2013. That was the
How do you
time
get started?
when if you have to build web applications, the
Go
setup
to the
wasn't
Zephyr
quite there.
website,
You had to
check
do
the getting
like you
started
had to take
guide.
some
You
very
get
tricky
all this
workarounds
text
to do things which we
uploaded
kind of
in
take for
the-
granted today.
in the
Tooling like
So
the Node.js
you
tooling
go to
that we
that
have,
guide,
things
you
like
get an
testing
idea
libraries
of how
like
you can get
Jest,
started. There will be tutorials.
Webpack,
Dig
Heat.
into the
These pretty much
code
didn't
samples,
exist, but they were in their early
codes.
years.
Try it out.
Front-end frameworks like React
Then
and
what
Angular,
you
they
can
were
do is
also
like
in
the
their very
best way
infant
is
years.
join the
And also
Discord
like the big
channel.
thing, the
There
JavaScript
will be
language
many
itself.
folks who can help you
Well,
out.
if some of you know
don't
JavaScript,
think
you know that
okay,
in 2015,
is my question
ES6
going to be a
specification
silly one?
was released.
Should I
So
answer?
JavaScript
Don't
is a
think
very
about it.
different
That's
beast
why the
before
Discord channel
ES6,
is there.
and a very
That's why
different beast
Slack
after
channels are
ES6.
there. That's why
Okay, so these were the technical limitations that kind of forced Music Blocks to be the way it
Go ahead,
was.
simply
Okay,
ask your question.
so like there
is
were
nothing
objects
like
in the global space. It
whether I
was
should
sort of a
ask or
monolith.
is it silly? I'm new to
It
IoT.
was very hard to kind of
Don't
get
care
work
about it.
done.
Go ahead
You
and
didn't
ask
have
the
any sort of
question.
tooling.
Because
You couldn't have
ultimate aim is
niceties
for you
like
to learn,
Stacks or TypeScript because that would require
And
preprocessing.
of course, like
I mean,
if
actually,
need any
you
help,
could
you can
have
reach
those
out to
things,
me. I am
but then
one
it
of
would
the
be
ambassadors
pretty
for Zephyr.
tricky
I
to
can
like
definitely
implement
help you
that,
connect
right?
with the right people.
So I sort of proposed that, let's, like, we have learned a lot of
Here are some videos from
let's
last
rebuild
year,
this thing
Opportunity
from
Open
scratch.
Source 1.0
So that was
conference.
the
So where
thing that didn't work out.
you can
So
go through some
again,
of the
this
basic
is
tutorials.
around the
Even
time. This is
last
late
yesterday also
2020,
there was a
early
tutorial
2021.
there was a
This was
walkthrough
when I
from
was
join
finishing
us.
college and about
You
to
can reach out to
work
join us, or you can check
professionally.
out his
Right.
talk.
I didn't
yesterday
have
as
the
well.
experience. Again,
It will
it was
give
a
you an
skill
idea of
issue
where and how
for me.
you can start.
So what really ended up
Right
happening
now
is,
there
like,
are also
we sort of
simulators
figured out
available,
that
so
these
you do not
foundational
have a
pieces
hard
that we
time, you
wanted
do
to
not
do
have to think
differently.
about it. You can
So
use
the way
simulators.
we would do, what I would do is, like, I would directly start with the code. This is a very big project, and I'm trying to start with the
These
code.
are the details
So
of
there is a
the
lot of
grid,
cognitive
then,
overload.
like
Right?
what
When
is
I'm
our
starting with the code,
website, and
I'm
like
thinking, like,
how you
how
can,
this thing fits in the grand
Discord.
scheme of things.
You can
And
take
like
a snap
I used
of
to get
this.
overloaded, and
It will help you.
like, I couldn't get it done. So what would happen is, like, I would start with a piece of code. I would write a bunch of code. I would work on it for a few weeks. Then I would realize, well, I didn't think of something before. So I would, like, scrap all of that and have to, like, start afresh. So I kind of, used to give up in the middle. And
Go around.
I sort of repeated this process, like, many times. So this was not, getting done. So the thing is, you need something like a process. Okay. So this was the part that I was missing.
Any questions?
Well, I sort of learned about the process in the last 1 year or so, from my work experience, because, well, at work, when I joined, it
Thank
was
you,
a small
everyone.
company.
There will be
And over
some
the
nice
last 3.5 years, well, the
also,
company has grown,
around Ziffer.
right? So we do things in a
join
more
that.
predictable,
So,
in a more
there
controlled
will
manner.
be one,
So then we have these
sometime,
processes.
first
Now I'm going to talk about one process. Again, this is a process. This is not the process. There can be multiple processes. So, well, before I talk, I'm going to, like, tell you, I'm going to quote two people. One is, again, the maintainer, original maintainer of Music Blocks, is my mentor, Walter. So he tells, like he says, perfection is the enemy of the good. So that was happening to me. I was trying to write code, like everything that fits together. It required a lot of foresight. It's impractical to have that kind of foresight, right? So that's why I was not getting stuff done. And the other thing is, again, this is something my manager at work tells me, and Andres. So he says, like, there are several ways to do something correctly, and then there are, like, countlessly many more ways to do something the wrong way. And you learn that by experience. You learn what works and what doesn't work. So let's talk about the process. So I was starting with the implementation, the code, right? Well, in this process, you don't start with them.
So hi everyone.
Start with the
Today
requirements.
is
you go to build
yesterday
this
it
project.
was my open
you
printing
deal with
day.
the
I had
what,
to write
okay.
open printing shirt on.
What the design
And
is going to look like.
today
what
is my
features are
snappy
going to be
day.
there, what functions
I
are
will
going to be
give
there.
a talk
All that.
now
So
about
this
Snap,
thing is
what it
usually
is
put
and
together in a
so.
document called,
And in
there are
the
several names, like
afternoon,
functional specification, functional
there will be in the
software
workshop
requirement
room
specification, product
a
requirements.
Snap workshop,
Same thing.
so you can
So you do that first.
learn
Okay. So what happens is, like, when you
snapping,
do that,
making Snap packages
so
by
you can
yourself.
have 30,000 feet.
And so let us start
You can see all the
now
different
with what
units that
Snap
are
is.
in that project. You soon
So-
realize, like, most of these units are sort of independent
Snap,
of each other. So they
next.
can be built in a very isolated way. But then, they are not really independent. Okay. They do have some
Yes,
intercommunication.
what the hell
with
are
each other.
snaps? Snaps
So,
is a packaging
well, you need to
format
have these
next
contracts. You can
for
see all the different
so-called
units your project
sandbox
has.
packaging.
Some units
so
are bigger,
that
some
the
units are smaller. Some units have other
package
units, like,
is
these are made up of smaller
encapsulated
units. Okay.
and it brings all its
Like,
dependencies.
once you have that view, well,
Yes,
for
and
each unit,
how-
you sort
how
of have a
did we
contract.
come to
These are
Snap?
going to be the inputs. These are going to be the outputs.
So when
then
you have
you can
free
sort of build
software,
these
the
different
application
features
developers, they provide simply source code.
Well, generally, you can, like, put it into a
And
diagram. I
for,
think
for,
it's
non,
called a
for
data flow
non-tech
diagram.
savvy users,
And once you do that,
it is not
well,
possible. They don't
step
use
three.
how and don't
you
know how to
build this
compile
other document. This
and
is
get
this one
working.
deals with the how of your
And
project.
so
This
they get
is
dependent
called a
on the
technical
goodwill
specification.
of
It
Linux
deals with everything
distribution
that's in the
maintainers
project about how you're going to
that
actually
they package
all the different data
the
structures,
desired
the
up
different
actually
algorithms,
for the distribution
what technologies are going to be
users
used, what
using.
different states the software is going to be
And
in, all
every
of that stuff.
distribution
Everything
maintainers
except the code.
have their own.
Okay. So you have the
states what
requirements,
they
you have the technical
include.
implementation, and then you have the
And
actual implementation, which is the code. So when you're
The
going to
others-
write the code,
and
you're
one
not
thing
thinking
is
about how
the
this
app
fits with the,
developers
like, in the grand scheme of
to
things.
make it
You only
easier
think
for
about
them. they
what could an
either
individual
package
piece is
by
going to be
themselves,
like,
but
and you
this
already
is a
have
lot
the
of work,
specification
it's
for
a lot
that,
of
right? You already know like this thing behaves in certain ways.
versions.
So you can actually
So they
write
have
the
to
test
test a lot
beforehand.
of packages,
And then, you know, when you
a lot
flesh it
of
out,
packages on
write the
different
code for that. Again,
distributions and
you already
versions
know
on a lot
what
of
code to
virtual
write.
machines,
You already know how to write
or
it,
a
what
lot
it needs to do.
of
Right? So that way you
bare
sort of,
metal,
flesh
and
all of
this
these
they
together.
cannot afford
So
time and
you're not
money-wise,
starting with the
so that's a
implementation.
nightmare.
You start with the requirements and then move
Next.
towards implementation.
And
And you know, they just
we
take 1
have a
minute to say this,
solution
that
for that.
so these documents that I'm talking about,
And
the requirements,
you know
technical
smartphones,
specifications,
how easy it's
these are
there.
not
You
static
go into
documents,
the
they change.
application
You know,
store of the
requirements change
smartphones
when
from
implementation goes
either
on.
the Apple
Okay.
App Store or
So,
the Google Play Store,
well,
and choose
but then,
an
you know, you have a
application,
whole,
install
you know,
it, and
very,
it does
very
not
high level
matter
view of the entire project.
which
You can see all the
version,
different
which
things.
version of
So if a
Android,
change is supposed to be
you have,
made
which,
in some
which
area, you know
manufacturer
which
your
parts are going to
phone
get
is.
affected, which parts
And
are not
so
going
you
to
can
get
just
affected, right?
install
So you don't have to scrap the
application.
entire
So,
thing to like implement the change.
and
Only
you
change
also
the
know
pieces
that
that need to
Canonical,
right?
they
So
have
this
also
is the
created
process that I think
smartphone
I was
operating
missing.
system.
I have
They've
seen this
given
process
up
work.
in
I have seen, you know, from
2017.
my experience what
And-
works and what
but
doesn't
they
work.
have
The more you see
they
code
have
written by
learned
other people,
from
the more
it.
you like learn.
They
these
had
things.
created
Okay.
a packaging
So yeah,
format for
that's
it,
like the biggest
they've
takeaway is
derived
that,
from
you know,
that
you learn
packaging
sort of
format,
learn things from
packaging
experience.
format,
And
a
like I
new
said,
packaging
the takeaway
format,
here is
and this is
start with
called
the
Snap.
requirements, then get towards the
And
implementation. But more
Snap,
important,
and this
don't
was
think
already
in code.
10 years ago.
Think
Snap
in
is
terms
10
of
years
logic.
old
Because I
already.
think this is a mistake most people make.
Next,
Yeah, and
And
that sort of, you know, brings
as I
me to
say,
the end of this
as
topic.
I said
I
in the
think I
beginning,
shared a few
sandbox
takeaways that might be
packaging,
helpful to some of you.
the
So, yeah,
package
I
has
guess
its
we have a couple
the
minutes left, so
application has
if you
its
have any
own
questions,
immutable
look
file
at my
system containing
questions, anyone?
not only containing the application itself, but also all the libraries and dependencies it needs. And so one can install this on any distro because one is not dependent what
Well,
the
no
distro
questions, yeah,
ships.
everything.
And
Great. Okay. Thank
due
you.
to
Thanks for listening.
the isolation, the application is running isolated. It has no access to the host system, so we have a higher security. And so we, as the distro provider, can try, or the user can trust the third parties, as the third-party application is encapsulated and cannot mess up the system and do something bad with it. And we have a snap store, so the snaps can be easily installed from one place without need. And so, like on a smartphone, you find the application, you click on install, and you get it installed.
Do I have to?
And so you are not dependent on your distro, on the distro maintainers anymore. You have a distribution independent packaging format for applications. So we get a user experience as we get with smartphone applications. Next. And we cannot only package desktop applications. There are other immutable sandbox packaging formats, but they work only with desktop applications, at least for now. But Snap, don't fear the demons. We snap them too. We snap system utilities, demons, subsystems, drivers, operating system calls, kernels. Snap works with everything. And therefore, I got Snap enthusiast because open printing, this is all daemons, hubs, and printer applications.
Connect with you. Have you?
And
have
I
you
have
even,
snapped them,
used it?
so there are snaps
Do you
from
think you have used it?
open printing projects. As
Raise
I
a hand
said,
if you know.
packaging, yes,
Okay, thank you.
packaging with this
Not many.
moves
Anyway,
from the
RAN is part of our
distributions
mobile
to
network
the
that we
upstream
use on a daily
developers,
basis.
as they can
And
package
Open
it
RAN is a
in
type of
a
architecture. So we'll
distribution
talk about that.
independent way. And so the
So
10
quickly about
the-
me,
so 10
I've
and
been
more
working in
distributions
telecommunication service
are
space for
not
more than 2
anymore
decades,
needing
and
each one to
I work in
package
the
a certain
software-defined
application
network function
and inventing
virtualization
the wheel
space
10 times, and then
for
so
short stint.
upstream
And
simply
at
can
present,
snap
my
it, and
interest
then
or
all
my current assignment
distributions
is
can
in
use it.
application security domain.
And
And
when a
I've
distro
been
version
exploring
is
5G
released,
and
the distro
related
maintainers
themes
usually
on
do
my
not
own for quite
publish
some
new
time.
versions of
And
applications
just a quick
for
disclaimer
that
that
distro
whatever I'm sharing
release,
today, it's
but
more of
only
a
for the
personal
next
endeavor.
distro release.
Whatever I speak,
Meaning that if you have
the
classic
information obviously
classic
is all
distro packages,
available in
if you
public
want
domain,
to have
but
the
doesn't
newest
really,
versions of the applications, you have to
reflect
always
any
update
opinion
the
or
operating
endorsements from my
system to
employer, that is
the newest
NEC.
version. And in Snap,
With
Snaps
that
you
out,
can
let's move
install
on.
independent of the distro, also on older distro
So
versions.
this is what
And so
I want to
you can
cover
always
today,
have the
right?
new
If you go to a
applications without taking
very
the
big
risk
mall,
that
you may get
the
lost.
new version of the
So
operating system
mobile
will not work
technologies
for
are like that.
And
if you try and do a
we
Google
have
search today
also
for Open RAN,
immutable
you will end up
distros
something like that.
where we can also
What I want to
install
do here
snaps on
is
the all
just show
snap
you a map,
Ubuntu core distros.
describe all other
We
blocks,
have
different
immutable
technologies,
subsystems, snaps of
that's why I'm calling it as
subsystems,
overview.
immutable
And
applications,
tell you exactly where
in
you
the
are,
snap.
what kind of
They are on an immutable
parts
file
that you would need,
system.
and you can contribute using
And
open source projects or even other
this is how,
right?
and
So
this
yeah,
is how
that's
it is
what I
all
want to do.
working. Next.
So what
I
we'll
will
cover today, right?
talk
So we'll
now
quickly look at
more
what is
about
RAN,
how a
why
snap package
we're talking about Open RAN,
of
some
which it
definition
consists
standards,
of.
layers around
Next.
the Open RAN part.
We have
Challenges and
the
opportunities.
files
Challenges
contained in
obviously
the snap
they mean
package.
opportunities in
This
themselves.
is, in a compressed
And then some of
GPG
the
signed
enabling technologies.
340
I think
squash
some of you who are really interested in
And
this topic
this
would
image
be
includes also some metadata in a YAML
look into
file.
these further.
And the
we'll
installed snap,
take a look at
when
the
it
open
gets
source projects.
installed,
There's
we
some
mount
exciting
this
things that are happening in this
immutable
space.
file system, but the
And
snap
then
in
a very
its
quick brief
sandbox
summary
will
of the market
also get a
dynamics.
writable
There are some
area
interesting things
for
that we will see here. Next, please.
as most applications need
So,
to put temporary
here is a picture
files
that
or have
is going
log
to show you.
files and things like that. But this writable area is in the sandbox. Only the snap can write on it, but the host system or other snaps not.
Okay.
And
so
we will have snaps of 5 different types currently. These are applications. It can be an operating system class snap.
So
it can be a gadget snap.
This is where we start the mobile network, right? So please just pay some attention here.
And very important also desktop session snap, like GNOME or KDE. With this, we can have a desktop.
So if you see, we have this radio
I
access
come
network
later.
is a part of mobile, the
And
mobile network, overall the cellular access network. And then you
we
have the core
and snap
network,
support
and
only
then there's a backbone. And
transactionally
then, so
atomic
then there are
updates, so the
public
snap
cloud
can
provider
only
and
be
so when
replaced
you are
by a
accessing
new
an
version
application
of
on
the
your
snap
mobile
all
phone,
at once,
say something like
and not file by
YouTube
file,
or,
as it is
let's say
on a
OneDrive,
possible on a
where you're
classic
storing your files.
distribution.
What is happening is when you're doing this on
And
your mobile,
with this, if
your mobile
the
is
new
connecting
version
to
of the snap
the
doesn't
towers,
work,
then
you
from
can
that it will go
very
on the
easily
backhaul
step
network,
back to the
and then from
previous
there
version.
it's going to mobile
Even when
core.
you do an update,
The mobile
of the
core has
snap
some special box
to a new
called
version,
packet gateway,
the
and
old
that
snap,
is
the
connected
old
to the
file
internet.
system image
And
is
then
not
it will
deleted.
connect to the cloud
We
service
keep
provider
it,
where your application
and also
is
the
hosted.
old writable area
So,
is kept.
Most of
We
our
keep
time we are
it,
using
and
our
when
phones
something goes
for
wrong,
apps,
the
right?
user can
So
simply
that's
step
why
back.
here we are calling
And if
this as
it's
a
the
cellular
kernel
access
or
network. We are
gadget
using
snap
the
and
entire
makes the
cellular
system
network
not
to
boot
access
anymore,
apps that
the
are
stepping
somewhere
back
on the internet.
even
Just keep that thing in mind.
is
It is
even
going to
done
be relevant for our
automatically.
further discussion. Yep. Next.
And
So here I'm just trying to
for
describe
the
why
update,
RAN
we
is so
will not
significant, right? It's one of the most
download a
complex
full new
pieces
snap.
of technology
The snap store will
that you can
generate
come
a
across.
binary diff
It has
and send
evolved
this
over a
to
number
the
of
user,
years, more
which
than
makes
20,
the
25
update
years
much
actually.
faster.
You might be knowing generations of mobile, right?
And
Generation 1, 2, 3,
due to the
5G,
sandboxing,
and
it
looking
is
forward to
snap
6G.
is available
So
on different
the kind of
distributions,
complexity
on many
that
different
RAN itself deals
distributions.
with, the radio
So
access
it
network
gets
deals with,
distribution
these are the challenges.
independent.
it has to do a lot of
And
signal
it
processing,
on
the
Ubuntu,
scale,
it is
right? The number of
installed
users, the geographical
since
spread,
its beginning 10 years ago on
then
14.04,
environmental challenges.
and
The
every later
power of the
Ubuntu up
antennas, they
to
are like
now.
out open in the
Next.
environment. The temperatures can go below zero
So,
freezing, and
for the
anywhere, like,
security,
in,
as I already said,
some
we have
regions.
read-only file systems
Then it has
in
to
it,
integrate.
so the files cannot
There
get
are some advanced technologies, and
manipulated,
then at the
so
same
no
time, it
malware
has to
can modify the
be
files.
energy
Snap-
efficient also.
Snap
Because when we're talking
consists
about
of
cellular phone network,
the
like for example, if you
file
take a
system
typical operator in
image is
India, they will
GPG
have anywhere
signed,
between
so that on the update
150 or
process, you do not
200,000
get
towers and their
you do
equipment
not
on
get
that. So
easily a
huge
fake
investment, huge
snap.
ongoing cost, right?
And we have confinement. The confinement
So
that
what was the
snap-
story of
the snap
RAN so far, right?
application
We are
can
in
only
5G,
act
but
in its
how
own
RAN was structured
sandbox,
today and what is
and
changing
on
right
the whole
now,
system
that
is done by more
brings
for
us
the
to
file
talk about this
system
topic today.
access,
So RAN
by
basically, as I
SecCom
mentioned,
for
consumes
system
major
calls,
chunk of capex, the
and by
capital expenditure, the
namespace
investment,
for having
and then
own
ongoing
users
expenditure
and
like
own
the
network
OPEX for the
and
mobile
own
network operators.
process IDs
And
and so on.
so far, the RAN
And
market has
we
been
have
dominated by three
Snapkey
main industry
and the
players:
Snap
Nokia, Ericsson,
Breakout,
Ericsson being the biggest,
and
and then
the
Huawei.
Demon,
As some of you
which
would know,
manage
Huawei,
this
for
or
whatever
the
reason, has
snaps
been
on the system
kind of sidelined
and
to
implement
due
all
to
this
issues and
security
regulation
concepts.
and so on. But still, they are
Next.
really the dominant players in the market.
And
this RAN
snaps
products,
are
because of
root
the
safe,
complexity that
as
I
if a
mentioned,
snap
have
by
been
itself
pretty
is running
monolithic,
as
meaning you
root.
buy the entire
It
kit
cannot,
from one
as
particular
any
vendor.
other snap, it cannot
So
install the, it
that
cannot
means
access the
what that
whole
results
system.
into
And
is
so if it is acting as root, it can also only act
kind
with
of,
itself, but not with the whole system. And
yours.
one thing is Daemon snaps. They are running actually as root.
Yeah,
So
it
the
results
Daemon,
into
when a Daemon snap,
multiple issues.
there we have an
So vendor
execution
locking
in
and
the
related
snap,
risk,
which
like
is automatically
a service
started
provider cannot
during
really
boot.
decide
When
how
no
fast
users
they can
yet
get
logged
new
in,
features. They have to
and
depend on
so
the provider, and they
this
have low feature
this
velocity,
executable is
and then
started
the
as
service
root.
provider will not have control over that,
And
and very less scope of innovation. So these
so,
are
and they
the
are also
issues that are
storage
plaguing the
efficient,
existing
snaps,
monolithic
because the
radio
squash
access
FS file system is compressed, and it will not
So that is
get
where this
decompressed
open
on
RAN
this,
architecture comes
but on
to help
access
because of some of
decompressed
the technical
on the
advances,
fly,
the cloud related
in RAM,
technologies
but not completely, only
are
what
making it
needs to be
possible. So we
decompressed.
have,
So we
unlike
are very efficient. Also
the
because
classical RAN, we
it's
now have this hardware and
it
software
is
desegregation. Meaning things
compressed,
that were
it's
possible
more
only in
difficult
custom
to
hardware,
manipulate,
like
it's much faster in download,
switch fabric and
lot
things
of
like that. Some of those things, or many
advantages.
of those things, now you can
And we
actually
have
do
also,
on a general
you
purpose
now I have
x86
told
kind of
every
hardware
application is
with
bringing
proper
its own
software
libraries
that will accompany that, right?
dependencies.
So
but there
most
are
network
libraries
functions
which
can
are
be
very,
moved to
very
software.
common, like
So they will be either
glibc
virtualized as
or
VMs, but
clib
increasingly
or
they'll be
things like
containerized
that,
into something
or
like a
also the
Kubernetes
libraries of the
container,
desktops of
and then
KDE
it can be run on a cheaper general purpose
or the
hardware.
standard library,
Club.
which the course
So this softwareization is
which
basically driving
is
this
a bunch
evolution,
of system core
and then it allows the
libraries.
scalability,
And we have
flexibility, and
also
speed for
content
service
provider
changes.
snaps in each
Next
desktop
is
has a
functional
content
desegregation.
provider snap
So
with
until
its
4G,
library. So
everything
we
in the
have
RAN was clubbed
modularized
together
out
in
a
a single
little bit. It's not
box or something like
completely.
that. And now with
And
5G, things are
completely
basically
that
being
every
distributed into
dependency
different
has to be
boxes.
bought, but we are
Things that can be
careful with
easily run on general
dependencies. We
purpose
have
hardware are being
only
separated out from
some
things that are
few
requiring
modules
dedicated
of
hardware, like the
library
radio
snaps
related
this way,
hardware.
so that we do not
And
get
then
the dependency
we have like
nightmare
better
of
control
classic
over the
packaging.
number of vendors.
Next.
And ensuring price
And
competitiveness for
the
service providers.
communication between
And at the
the
same
Snap
time,
application and the
because we are
system,
talking
or the
about
Snap
new
application and
services
other
in 5G,
snaps, we have
kind of energy
well-defined
efficiency that is required,
and the
very
interfaces are rule
much a need that
exceptions. The packager, the snapper, only needs to say which interfaces they want to use, and do not need to know the rule exceptions they cause.
So that is
but
another
they
thing
produce
that
rule
can be
exceptions and
injected
up
because
armor,
now the RAN
SecCom,
has been
and so
opened
on.
open
The
RAN, right? So
communication
these are the three
gets
main things:
possible in a
hardware,
controlled
software
way.
desegregation,
And
functional desegregation,
interfaces are,
and intelligence.
for example,
These
named
are the
network
contributions
or
you can
hubs
say,
or
or this is something
dbus.
that's going to
And
be
so
made
you
possible
know
by the
what
open RAN architecture.
service, what type of communication
And why
they
now,
make
right?
possible.
So far in 4G,
And
the
naturally,
applications
some
were like really
communications are
limited.
dangerous
The
for
use
the
cases
system,
that we were
others are
dealing with, like
safe.
it was mainly about
So
bandwidth.
we
High-speed
distinguish
network connection,
between
you could
safe
watch media.
safe
At the most, you can
interfaces
have
and
your
dangerous
video
interfaces.
calls. 4G
The
was
safe
sufficient.
interfaces, for example, the
But
CUPS
now, even
interface,
if you're getting high
which
speeds,
allows the Snap
the people like
application
you and me,
to
right, who are
list the
consumers
printers which
with a
are
mobile phone,
available
we are not going to
and to
really pay
print
very large
jobs.
amounts of money just to
So
get
an
even
application
higher
which
speed, which
prints
we may
like
not even notice. 4G
LibreOffice
is probably
or
good enough for us to
Mozilla
watch
or
HD videos
Firefox or
or
so,
play games on our
this
mobiles.
application connects with
But then
CUPS.
there are additional
And so it
new
can print,
applications
but
that
it
5G
cannot
can
do
envisage,
anything
and
nasty on the
that
system,
involves
especially it cannot
low latency
delete
applications.
or modify
So what
print
is the
queues
difference
or
between
read
latency
the
and
CUPS
bandwidth?
logs and so
Bandwidth
see
just
what
says that
other
okay,
people
high
are
speed, it's
printing.
the amount of data that you are
And-
going to get in a given span of
and
time is very high.
Another
But latency means that for a
interface, for
particular
example, is CUPS
use case,
control. As
the
CUPS
amount of
control
time
has
that
the full
has
control
taken for
on
your data
CUPS.
to do
It
the
can create
entire trick.
queues, it can remove
So
queues, it can
when you are
read other
accessing an
users'
application,
jobs, and so
remember
you
our
can
first
create a
diagram I
nice
talked
big
about, right?
printer which prints directly
public
into
provider,
your mailbox so
A.
that you
So
can see
the time it
user's,
takes for
private
traffic from mobile to
documents.
reach there and
And
come back
so CUPS
is fairly long.
control
So
is a
that is
danger.
where the arrival
And
of
the safe
edge is there. So
interface,
the
when you
application
create
has
a
to
snap
live closer
and
to the
connect a
users.
safe interface,
Especially they
and you
are
put the snap
industrial
in the snap
applications like
store, and from a
IoT,
snap store
Internet
someone
of Things,
installs it.
and
The safe
Industry
interfaces
4.0,
are
where there
connected
is a lot of automation
automatically.
with connected
You
devices.
do not need to
For
tell the
them,
user
the application cannot
to
live
connect
on
these
a distant
interfaces manually.
cloud like
And the dangerous
Google or Azure.
interfaces, they are
It
not
has to stay
connected
closer. So if we take the
automatically
example of
when the
India,
user installs the
Google has
application.
probably one or
The
two
user has to
regions,
install them
I think
manually.
Mumbai and maybe Chennai.
So you
or
have
maybe
to
only
mention
one
this
region.
in the documentation.
Now, if we want to have a
Or
factory
you have
and,
to
with an IoT
apply
application
for a
in
special
Kanpur,
permission
uh,
of the Snap
the
Store
application from
that
Google
they
will be
make an
posted in
exception for
somewhere in
you
Mumbai, and the
for
data
certain
will have to
dangerous
travel up to that
interfaces
point
that
and then
they
come back.
are connected.
Not efficient, cannot really work with latency, which
Next.
require with latency requirements in less than like a second and so on. So that would mean that
So
we need to host
here
those
is the
applications
scheme
closer
of
to Kanpur,
updating
maybe in
snaps.
Lucknow at most.
We have
Something
the
like that.
so-called
And so that is
transactional
where
or atomic
we have
updates.
to
We have a
deploy
snap
applications
installed,
on
which
edge,
has
and
the
that
original
requires
snap,
10 GB
the
to Open RAN.
original
Meaning there will be
image of
so this is
snap
where
itself.
basically
And
small
it has the
fragments of
original
cloud or
writable
cloudlets
area.
or distributed
And
cloud
when
or
you
edge,
update
different
it,
names that are used is
the
there.
writable
And that is
area
another motivation
overtaken,
for going for
and
Open RAN.
but
I have included a link
the
that talks
original
about
is
a
kept.
real life example
The
of a US operator
snap file system, the
that
image, the original
covers
is kept and the new is
some of these
installed in
interesting
place.
stories. Yeah.
And so you have a new snap and can work with it.
There's a lot of confusion if you do a Google search
But
on Open RAN, so I
the
want
old
to clear that.
old snap,
Right?
the old
Because,
image,
these are
and
not some of
also
the same
the
things. So what
backup
is
of the data
Open RAN and
on-
what it isn't, right? So
on
it
the
is
point in
not
time
the
when
name of
you
a product or a
update it,
project.
is
It's
there.
not the name of a standard. Open
And
RAN
so,
itself is not a standard.
If
It
you
does not
start your
imply
new
that
shiny
everything that you
snap, the
see
new
in
version
Open
of
RAN
some
will
app,
be open source.
and it does not
A
work,
closed source
there's some
product
problem
also
for you.
can be part
Then
of
you
Open RAN
can
ecosystem, as
revert
long as it is
to the old
complying
version,
with the Open
and the
RAN
revert action,
standard
it
reference
simply
architecture
takes
and the interfaces that it
gets
has
back
defined.
your backups,
Right, and it's not
and
the
throws away
3GPP
the
standard.
new
What is
snap.
3GPP? 3GPP is the
And so
standard
you are on the
defining
old
body
snap
for
again and
5G.
can
But
continue
it's not,
working.
ORAN is not
And
defined
as
by
I
them.
mentioned, if
And
the
Open
snap
RAN
does
is
not
not
work
same as
for you,
ORAN,
kernel or
ORAN or
gadget
Open
snap,
RAN, these words, right?
the
These words
out
actually means some specific things.
your
So we'll
system
see what
steps
those
back
words
automatically,
mean in different contexts.
so you do not
But
get locked
if you come, meaning anyone can say
Next.
that our product is an Open RAN, you have to really ask certain questions and only then believe that
So,
the company or
Let us go.
So
to
what
an
it is a
all-snap
new architecture for
operating
RAN. It is
system.
driven
I've
by
already
standard
told that one can
specification,
snap everything,
especially by
so one
an
can put
alliance called
together
ORAN
everything
Alliance.
in one
We'll take a look at
operating
those
system.
and then
It's Ubuntu
the
Core.
Open
that
RAN itself
And
or the
Ubuntu
ORAN itself is
Core
compliant with 3GPP.
was was
That is the basic
created
condition. You cannot really.
10 years ago
There is no option for that. Yeah.
based on the on Canonical's experience on a smartphone.
So these are some of the industry
but not as
consortiums
an
that are
interactive mobile
shaping
operating system,
uh,
but
open
as
RAN,
an embedded
evolution.
operating
I would say
system,
ORAN
IoT.
Alliance is the
So
major,
that if you have
which
some
is basically
appliance
the
with
telephone operators
with
or the
some
telecom operators alliance
microprocessor
from Europe,
inside,
and
that you can
now it's almost
that
1600
you have an
companies have joined.
operating
So there's a
system
lot of
for it.
force
And
in
this
that, and they
would
have
be
aligned
part.
themselves with the Linux Foundation
And
also. So a lot of projects
the operating
that
system
are
is
started
composed
by ORAN
of
Alliance
a
originally
kernel,
have now been
which is one snap.
made Linux Foundation.
It has a gadget snap,
and
this
ONF
is,
has been around for quite
the
some time. It has
bootloader,
done
some
wonderful
hardware
work
specific
in,
stuff,
automating
and
and
also the
advancing
scheme how the mass
technologies,
storage
including
gets
software-defined network
partition.
related
And
projects.
we have the
So they
core
have this
snap.
open
This
source
is the
projects.
minimum operating
So that is their
system.
major focus
It's
area. So
mainly
these
the
three are really
commonly
important
used
alliances that you should
libraries.
keep an eye
And
for
the
if you
core
are
snap
interested in this.
is available of the LTS releases.
These are additional alliances.
So
GGPP obviously is a 5G
the
defining
libraries
body,
and
so
other
they
stuff
have
it
a
is
say in that,
composed
but will
of
not be really looking
is
at
built
these two
from
are
the Debian
telecom infrastructure
packages
project was
of
something that was
an
started by
Ubuntu LTS
Facebook somehow.
So
You might
the
be
count
surprised to know that.
LTS is 24.04.
But they have some work going on. They
So
have
the
a
count
group called
core snap
Open
is
RAN with no space in
424.
between.
And every
And
2
then
years
this
we get
open air interface software alliance is something
And
new.
so
They
this
are from
is
France,
the system
and they are
itself,
trying to build the
operating
entire
system.
5G
And
stack
you can
in an open source manner.
install
So if you are a
application
really open
snaps
source
on
enthusiast,
the system.
you should be checking these.
But yeah, and so you
Okay.
have an operating
So,
system for IoT and embedded.
a quick summary of ORAN Alliance activities, right? There are a bunch of work groups that they have
when you
created
have
to organize
you
their
have
work.
operating system,
But
and
main
the
contribution is like
snaps
they have
are,
defined the reference architecture
and the application
on top of the
snaps are
3GPP,
embedded
have
so
added few
they
extra
independently
nodes on top
can
of
only
3GPP
communicate
to
by
achieve
interfaces,
certain
and
improvements.
everything is updated
So we'll see them after some
atomically
time, and
independent.
then right. So they
Next.
provide things like, since now something that was a single box now divided into different units.
So,
The RAM that we're talking
but
about.
this
requires
has
integration
existed
testing,
for a long
certification,
time.
so that is
And
something
in
that,
the long
ORAN
time,
Alliance
we have
facilitates, right?
also installed
And there is
Snap
a open source community also. You will
on
find this
classically
on
installed
GitHub.
operating
So
system,
ORAN
including
software
desktop
community,
operating
and it's been
systems.
basically made
So
a Linux
many
Foundation project
application
now.
snaps were created.
So
also for
it consists
desktop
of some sample standards of
applications.
implementation.
And
So
they are
basically
not,
continue to align
many
with
of them
Linux
you cannot,
Foundation
the desktop
and
ones you
other
cannot
telecom
install on
industry bodies
Ubuntu
like
core, as it
APIs
does
and
not
so
have
on.
a desktop,
Okay.
but you can install them on a
So this
classically
picture just
installed
shows how ORAN
distributions.
Alliance
For example,
projects
in
are
Ubuntu,
aligned
even
with
the
other
standard
Linux Foundation
installation
projects.
contains some snaps. So next,
And you'll find a lot of
but
information about this on
Ubuntu,
both
for
the,
Ubuntu
ORAN
Core, we
Alliance
can
website
also
as well
make
as
a desktop
Linux Foundation
distribution.
website.
You see this scheme here? We had this, the kernel and the gadget.
So there's a lot of synergy
the boot base,
that is
which is
now
the
taking
core
place
operating
between
system from
ORAN
before.
Alliance, Linux Foundation, and ONF. So they have joined hands.
We
and
had already
combined,
before, the image
so
of
initially
before was a little
ONF
bit
had these
older. It
projects going
naturally
on.
also has Snap.
The SD-RAN project that implements the
so
RAN
the lower two
compliant,
lines of the
non-real-time
scheme
radio intelligent
are familiar to you. This is Ubuntu
for
Core. But
SD-RAN.
now we add
These have been moved into
we
Linux
add
Foundation
a
projects.
desktop
So by the way,
session
from this slide, slowly
in
you
the
see that how
current
telecom
original
have something called as, the alpha
development
soup,
of
right?
Ubuntu Core desktop.
Lots of acronyms.
This desktop session
especially in
is
5G, when
predominant
you come to 5G, you'll see just
and with
loads
this,
and loads of
we
acronyms.
built a desktop
So welcome to
as
my
a snap on Ubuntu Core.
yeah, next.
So we have Ubuntu
So
Core desktop.
so far, what
desktop
we have looked at is
we can install
what is
desktop
RAN, why
applications
Open RAN,
on
and the
it.
different industry
And
bodies
here the
that
additional
have contributed
basis,
the
it's the
demand.
following.
Now we
One
will
of
take
the
a closer look at
applications
what exactly
is not
Open RAN is
based
today in terms
on
of
the
on the
ORAN
core
alliance,
distribution of
defined
what you are
architecture.
running,
So before that, we'll also
but
take
on another
look
core
at the,
distribution, that other core
components
distribution
inside the
is
LAN.
also an additional base, is also installed
So,
so that this
we'll not be walking through
these
each of these
dependencies.
processes. You don't have to worry about it. I'll just quickly explain.
And with
So this
this,
is
we
the
have
view of
a
classic RAN,
flexible,
where this entire thing
immutable,
is single node. Now, please look at this
nicely
diagram
modular
right to left
desktop
for whatever
distribution,
reason.
because we are much more
They
modular.
decide to draw
And
it
now
like this.
the other
So this is
immutable
the antenna where a
have
mobile phone
the
signal will
lower
be received,
three
and then we
lines
have
being all
from the radio
one
signal to conversion,
immutable
physical
image.
layer, media access layer,
And then you have only
so
the
on.
applications.
The
And
radio
here
resource control.
you
So
can
this entire
independently
thing is
update
actually
the gadget, the Snappi,
a
the
base station,
kernel,
right?
the boot
The base
base,
station on the
desktop. For
antenna that
example,
we
the
see.
kernel is a nice thing to
And
update. If you want
that was like the
to
monolithic
upgrade
thing.
to
Only
a
one node,
gaming
node be
setup, you can replace the kernel
so
by
it's
a
all
gaming
monolithic.
kernel.
You buy it or don't buy it. You
So
don't have any other choice.
next, yes. So
So how
we
it is
have
changed by
the-
5G,
yes,
right?
I've
So this
had
is split
principally
or open RAN. So
or-
now the
and we
same
have
functional blocks
put a
have been
desktop
divided
session
into
snap
3
to
units.
it
First
to
part
make
is
up
radio
a-
unit, which does the actual radio
desk
transmission and
distribution.
reception,
And when
part
we-
of the physical.
when
part
we
of the
make
OSI
this distribution
functionality.
available for download,
Second is a
we put
distributed
some
unit,
common
which
applications
does
on
media
it,
access control
so
layer,
that you can
radio
start
link
off right
control,
away
and
as with a classic
bit of that, and then
where
the central
the
unit
most
does the layer
important apps
part
are
of
also
layer
already
the
on
functionality.
ice.
So radio
And-
unit, distribution unit, central unit. How
Everything,
they
and
actually
as I said,
work on the
everything
network?
is easily
This is how, right?
exchangeable.
So you have
So you
this,
can modify
radio
your
units,
system with the time,
typically
but
the
at
actual antenna
low
that we
risk,
see.
because
Distributed unit
you
will be
are
staying close by, either
replacing
below the,
snaps, replacing
tower or somewhere
immutable
close by.
modules, encapsulated
And
modules.
multiple
You are not
control
mucking
units
around
will
with
be
files in your
sorry,
file
multiple
system.
distributed units will
And
be
in the end,
connected
you
to a
cannot
single
do
central
that
unit,
anymore.
which will control them.
So it is much
Right,
safer. So a little bit
so
like Lego
this is a
or
different view
IKEA
here.
furniture. or
So we
And-
have now left to right, okay? A bit confusing, but bear with me.
And
So this
if you want to
is user
develop on
implemented.
such
There is a
system,
3GPP
you have
standard,
no
there is a
access to the
normal radio
system.
link that we
What
have.
you do to develop,
And where
to
the
be able to
ORAN
use
or the
it as a
Open RAN
developer
part has
to
come.
develop
We
something,
had open
you
interfaces.
do the
When we
development
say open,
in
meaning
LXD
different companies will
containers.
collaborate on those
There's
interfaces. So
even
we had open
GUI
interface
named
between
workshops for that.
phone and the
And
tower.
then you have an
We had
operating
open
system,
interfaces
classic
between
operating
the
system
RAN
in an
and
LXD
the core
container
network to an
on
extent.
which you do your
But
development.
within the RAN, the interfaces were
And
not open.
this
Now
workshop
with
app
Open RAN,
gives you
ORAN
even
alliance
access to
standards,
all
this is what we
Unix
are getting.
distributions,
The
not only
interface
for
between the radio unit and distributor unit
Next,
is
yeah.
open.
So,
So you can
but
buy
it's not
radio
ready
unit
yet,
from one company
and we have
which
no
specializes in
ETA.
radio units, and you can buy distributor unit and
There are
centralized,
many things which
unit
are still in
from
the
another
works.
company.
For example, for
And
gaming,
that another
we
company
need
can be actually
NVIDIA drivers in the
equipment
snap
provider, but
or
someone
an
who is
NVIDIA
like,
driver equipped kernel in the
equipment
snap.
manufacturers like Dell,
For
HP,
productivity,
IBM, anyone.
we need
Who can
printer
basically
setup
provide you
tools
general
which
purpose
work
hardware,
with the new
which is,
architecture, this
can be
thingy which
stacked
Mike
and,
Sweet and
deployed as a
me
mini data
have
center,
talked
right?
about yesterday.
So that's the
Because in the
advantage here.
system
That's
of,
what we are looking
of,
at.
of
Okay.
encapsulated
So,
applications and hubs
Now
also
a
being
bit
in the
about
snap,
the
you
functionality
cannot
of
add
those
BTD
units, right?
files to hubs. And so you are de facto in the new hubs architecture.
So here is
even-
the lower
Even
layer
if
is the
the
radio
hubs
unit.
is 2.x and
Then there is
3.x.
this
So we
interface, the
need
opened up interface
new
between radio
versions
and
of the
the
printer
distributor
setup
unit.
tools. The
So what
same
do they
as
do
I
is
did
essentially
in
this
my
is
earlier talks, which we need for hubs 3.x.
their division in
And
terms of
to be able
racks.
to install scanner
And
drivers,
here
and
you
scanner
will find some
applications.
description, right? So
This
this
is
is the
worked
main
on,
radio
this
unit
somehow
does the real radio stuff, being forming, receiver,
so that we
coverage,
can install
power
scanner
consumption,
drivers
all those
in,
things. The front hall
operating
interface
system.
defines the actual
So,
requirements
and then
in
for
terms of how the
development,
data
we
will be
need
transported
also
from
get
the radio
further.
unit
We
to
need
the
to
distributed
support, for example,
and related,
IDEs, for example, an
requirements.
IDE snap,
And
which
then
has
here,
access to your LXD
distributor unit does a
containers
very important job
and-
of actually doing the channel
and
coding
so
and defining
forth,
the
so
resource
that one
allocation.
can more easily
When we talk about resource
develop.
allocation on
Also, we are working,
the RAN,
perhaps
we are
it's
talking
already
about
done on
allocating
TPM
channels and
disk
frequencies.
encryption. Also, what
okay.
we want to have is remote management of your fleet
Is that
of
10 minute
Ubuntu
done or only 10
desktop
minutes
machines by
the canonical service landscape, Active Directory login for the corporate.
All right, so yeah,
desktop.
I think I'll have to.
And
hurry
also
up.
we
This is
need
20
to set
and
up a
running
distro
behind.
infrastructure.
Anyway.
We need to
Okay,
create
so
and provide
essentially
ISOs.
here this
We
means
need CI testing
the
for
functionality is
ISOs
distributed
and for
like
all the
this,
workflows.
and
We need
let's
Also stable release tracks, and we need this distribution. So a
now
lot of things have
this
to be
is
done,
just to
which
give
is
an
done
idea
by the
that
different
even though we
teams
have
at
defined
Canonical.
the
The
relationship
system
between the
itself,
three
the
units,
desktop
there
team
are
is a
number of
subteam
ways in
for
which
that.
the functionality
And
of
next-
radio unit can be clubbed either in the radio unit itself
And
or in the distributed unit. So you can
you
see the
see it?
variation that this block is either
Ubuntu
here
Core
or there.
Desktop,
Which means
you have
it's
a
not
system
exactly
with more
standard.
stability because it's all
So
file
ORAN
system,
Alliance
atomic
has some
updates,
standard
no dependency
variations.
here,
So
and
a
so
standard
on.
cannot be
You have more,
very
more
rigid. It has to
security
give some
because you have a
flexibility
secure
to
boot.
the
We
equipment
all
manufacturers.
file systems,
So it does give that, but it
composability
tries to define
because
the
it's all
medium,
modules,
these three
manageability because also all modules and so on. And
so
also
essentially what has
privacy,
happened is
because
because of
one
that fragmentation
application cannot look
over a
into
period of
what
time,
another
this
is doing
multiple efforts were
because they're
there
all
for RAN and
encapsulated.
Open RAN, but now they
Next.
have all converged into ORAN, right?
So,
CRAN
any
and
questions
they were
about
earlier initiatives,
Snap
but now
and
they have
Ubuntu
consolidated.
Core
So ORAN has
Desktop
basically
or
consolidated
Ubuntu
into
Core?
a single standard. Yeah. So this is the reference architecture from ORAN. The important thing to notice here is you have the ORU, meaning Open RU, Open DU, and
It's
Open
all
CU
clear
is
to
also
you?
there, divided into two parts. What Open ORAN
what
Alliance
an-
has done
a
is essentially added
transactional
this
or atomic
service management
update
and
is
orchestration,
You
SMO,
have
and these
you have a
RICs,
file. Yes, he
radio
wants to know what
RAN
is a
intelligent
transactional
controllers.
or
That is the main
atomic
addition.
update.
And these have a
Atomic
pluggable
needs
architecture
the
where
undivided.
you can actually
Atomic
have
atom needs
pluggable
means the
applications,
undividable.
intelligent applications.
The name
intelligent
was given to
applications
this
that will help you
particle
optimize the
before we had
performance of RAN.
fission. So
Right.
it needs atomic needs the undividable.
So here
And
we
so
typically see so
we
this was
can
the original
update
earlier
only
slide that we saw.
only
So these
the
different
spot
units
FS
have to work
image
on a very
as one
different
piece.
timelines.
We cannot
That is what
take
this slide will tell you that
individual files
the radio
and
unit part
replace
to an
them.
extent,
We have to
centralized unit
replace the
part, they
whole
have to work
image.
on
And so we
very
have much
stringent
more
requirements, less
control.
than 10 milliseconds.
Our system gets
And then you
modularized.
have this near real-time controller that is going to optimize
composed of thousands of individual
these
files,
functionalities,
and
to the
when
timeline
you
of less than 1
accidentally
second. And
delete
anything that is
or
more than
overwrite
one
you have
second,
broken
that is
the whole
in
system and
non-real-time
do not
RSA,
know
which is
where.
part of the SMO. And these are the type of use cases that this would handle. And finally, the orchestration, that is SMO, that is more than 1 second. Okay. So these are the benefits that ORAN nodes offer: provide interface to plug in intelligence
You
to
use
apps,
what?
and intelligent optimization of the resources
Arch
and possibilities
Linux.
for
Yes,
innovations in
yes.
standardized
You can
interfaces.
install.
Yeah, so this is one important thing.
You
Standardized
can perhaps
interfaces with
install.
underlying
I
cloud
did not
infrastructure.
check
So
this.
when
You
we
can
say
install
ORAN, CU and DU
Snapd
can
on
be
many
posted on a cloud general purpose
Linux
hardware.
distributions.
We need to
I don't know
standardize
whether
that. So
Arch
when you have a
Linux
cloud
is
infrastructure,
under
like you could
them.
have a Kubernetes
But when if you can install
cluster, or you
Snapd,
could have a,
you can
some
install
other
snaps.
VM,
So at
very
least
likely it
on
is going
many
to be
distros you
Kubernetes
can
going
install
forward.
your
But how exactly
applications from
those
the
CUs
snap
and
style
DU
snaps.
instances would be created?
There
what is
are
their specification? All that
approaches
has to be
for Arch
standardized.
Linux
So that is where this
also
standardized
to
interface
make
is defined by
an
ORAN comes into picture.
immutable
There is something
distro
called as
out of
OCloud.
it.
That's another
But
block
this
that ORAN
immutable
has.
distro is not an all snap distro. Your base,
So
your
we'll look at
distro
challenges,
image
right?
itself is not a snap.
So
There are different approaches.
yeah.
You have. I hope
So
that
the
you
green
have
ones are actually technical or
attended
technological challenges
the
where
talks of
you
Douglas
can actually explore,
Saraswat
like people
yesterday.
who are interested here
And
point
he
solutions,
is
and this
making
red version,
immutable
listening and
distros
support
from
are more
Arch.
for business challenges for the mobile service operators.
Yes.
Integration, because
the blend
now ORAN
OS,
means we
it
have
has
multiple
the
vendors,
facility
from
to
where you are
install
getting the solution, you need to
applications of
integrate it,
different
you need to test it,
formats.
and mobile network operators
And
don't
for
really want to do
classic
that most of the
formats
time,
like
right? They
RPM
hate
and
it.
Debian,
So
he does
so that's a
he,
problem. Someone needs to help them.
sandboxes them on the
People
spot
in
during
mobile
the
network operator
installation.
space,
But I don't
they
know.
have been familiarized
Flatpak,
with
I
the
think
box
one
and
can
files
also
kind of
install
setup,
on it.
right? So you
But
have
I'm not
switches
sure
and
whether one
connections and
can
then
do also
maintaining them.
Snap.
ORAN
One
will
can,
be
whether one
very
can also
different
install
world for them.
Snap-D
Open
on
RAN
it,
will
or
be a
whether it
different world
comes
because
with
it's all
Snap-D
software based.
and one
So
can
we are talking
install
about
snaps. This
controlling
I don't
everything
know.
through, say,
There
Kubernetes
we
console
would have
and
to ask
related
Google.
tools. So to borrow an analogy from an old article where it talked about internet people and
Is
telephone people,
Udra
heads
Saraswat,
and net
are you
heads.
here?
I am terming this as box heads versus
No,
pod heads. Box heads meaning a person who is
unfortunately.
familiar with network boxes,
So,
and pod head is someone who is
any other
familiar with
questions?
Kubernetes pods, right? So, and then since we're talking about intelligence, we need
I
skills
don't
to support
understand
AI and
anything
ML as well.
through that distance.
And then getting
Perhaps
support
you
if
come
there's something,
closer to the
something goes
front.
wrong in the production network, pinpointing the issue in an open RAN where we have equipment from 5 or 10
Yes, or someone
vendors
comes
would
with
be a
a
problem. So they can get ugly at times. So there has to be some mechanism to address that as well. Yep. Next. So security is another big technical challenge, and the reason being a number of reasons, right? So Open RAN basically is part of the public network, which will be used by multiple users. So
What do
any
you mean?
breach that happens in Open RAN software would mean not only the mobile network operator will be impacted, but the privacy of the users who are connected can also affect. For example, location information about the users can be disclosed, and so on. So earlier it was very simple that you are buying the entire RAN equipment from one vendor.
I didn't really
You
understand
hold them
what you are
responsible,
asking.
and end of story. Now it's not that simple, right? You have multiple
someone help?
vendors
Someone-
that you are
Or could you come,
getting this equipment
perhaps?
from, and you need to make sure that there is no rogue software being injected as a part of this
So,
stack. So
What are you
Yeah.
what do you exactly want to do?
So this picture, obviously, we're not going to read through this, but this just shows what are the
Yes.
different types of threats because of the Open RAN model. So you have a hardware layer, there's a virtualization layer, and there's a software layer, and every
Yes.
layer brings
There
their
are
own set
special
of
snaps,
threats
the so-called
in terms of
classic
threat modeling.
snaps.
And
They do
the
not have
ORAN
really the
solutions,
snap
Open RAN solutions that we want
sandboxing,
to provide,
but are
aim to
more like
address
a
these.
classic package, but distributed from the Snap store.
So ORAN
As
has
far as I know,
worked
you
around
can install
to
them
help
on
you
your
with the
own and
challenges.
not
They
on
have
other
this certification
systems,
badging that we look
because
about.
they
The
are more
WG11
deeply
is
integrated into the
security
system.
work
For
group
example,
ORAN,
Snapcraft
and they
is
do
one of
provide
these.
these inputs to.
It is not recommended if you use Snap and application.
So
to
we
make
looked at this,
classic
right?
Snap.
What are
And also as the
now opportunities, right?
classic
We
Snap
can
is
develop
deeper
innovative
integrated into the
applications
system,
using
if
open
you
package
you
applications. And the
already
other
need a
opportunity
special
that I see for
permission
people
from
is
the
through
Snapstore team to publish it on
improve
the
it
Snap
through
Store. Not only for
basically
dangerous
contribute
interfaces.
to open
Normal Snap, fully
development, open source
encapsulated
projects
Snap,
themselves.
you can
That's
just
going to be
upload onto
really
the Snap
interesting. Yeah,
Store,
next.
and after a
So,
quick check
From a
of the
technology
Snap
point of view,
Store
these are
team,
some
it
interesting
goes
technologies
public.
that you will need to work
But
on,
if you have a
and you
classic
can
Snap,
explore. And I would
it is
request students
deeply
to note this
integrated
down.
into
Maybe
the
this will
Ubuntu
help you
system,
down the line.
and so the
To
Snap
connect
Store
the
team
dots
has to
and see
give
if
the
you want
special
to
permission
look
on
into
it.
that, right? Kubernetes is the basic thing that you
And
have to do.
so
because
it
all
does not really
moving
follow
to
the
cloud
Snap
native and
principles. It's
container-based
only
solution.
we
So that is a, as
distributed
they call it, table
by the
stakes.
Snap Store, but
Then
it is
software-defined
something special
networking,
for
what it does, separation of control plane, user plane, what exactly is. ONOS is a good controller from ONF, something that you should look at.
Any other questions?
And we have then NFV, network function virtualization, or more. This is actually softwareization that, as we talked about, they're moving from hardware to software.
So
Yang,
if you got
Netcom,
excited
GNI,
by
GNI,
this
these are
talk,
all
and if you
configuration
are
management tools that
either
allow
developing
the
an
SDN controllers to
application
talk
and
to
wants to
individual
get
network
a
functions to
better and
configure it.
easier distribution of it,
Next.
or if you want to help other application
So these are
projects that
very
they
special
get their
kernel
applications
level
snapped,
technologies.
or
These are
these
open source
projects
technologies.
do
So you'll
not
find
like
the
to work
details
with
here.
Snap, and
If you are going to write
you
a
think the
network
application
function
would be nice to be
that will
snapped,
be
then you
part of like the CU or DU,
then
right?
you
Then
should
you need to understand these technologies,
today
because
in
these
the
technologies make
afternoon
data
attend my
plane
workshop,
processing faster in custom
and there I will tell
general
you
purpose
how to
hardware.
make
So
snaps,
to
and
complete
you
the
will
custom hardware,
try it out
general purpose hardware can
hands-on
use
during
this
the
technology. So
workshop.
these are something that you definitely want to note down and explore
Yes.
further.
Right after
and
my
even contribute to this purpose. Yeah. Next.
Google Summer of Code panel. So if you attend,
So
Google
these are
Summer
the
of Code
open
panel,
source
and this
projects
will
that
be
you can
free,
note down.
when it ends,
ONF, SDLAN,
simply
Ether. I
come
would like
with
to
me
specially mention
to the
if you- a
workshop
lot of
room,
activity
and
happening
then
there.
we
It's a
then you
kind of
can
a
learn
proof of
static.
Kubernetes to be used for network operation automation, right? Very exciting thing that's happening going on. LF Anuket is also related.
So,
So
thank you.
you will see these details in the slide deck. You can go through this. You can get the
Thank you
link
very
to these
much.
projects very easily. But these are really important projects from Open RAN's point of view. Someone who wants to work in this area. Yeah. Next. So market dynamics, right? A lot of activities, and what is happening is essentially since the Open RAN getting software, the network functionality is getting softwareized. A lot of new entrants are coming in, as I mentioned. Hardware makers, cloud providers themselves. So you are going to see that if you want to work for mobile network, your telecommunication is your interest, and you also want to work for Google, that's very possible because Google is actually offering a 5G service entirely hosted on their cloud and many other things as well. And there are a lot of collaborations happening in this space. So there are niche and new players also focused on 5G like this, right? So these are some of the names. So yeah, that's actually, I would like to summarize that. Any questions?
Hello?
Do I have time for
Yes,
questions in case there are any?
Here the people are here.
Okay, thanks everyone. That's not good. Follow के लिए हाँ were you able to follow?
What are you doing? Did you start here now? This is our project laptop. Did you start
no,
here
yeah,
now
it's
some
recent development.
application on the laptop itself?
No, this is my personal laptop.
Did we connect the laptop to the StreamYard?
This is his laptop. He wants to show some application.
Yes. And
But then
we need to share his
Hello?
screen into StreamYard.
yeah.
Otherwise, the remote attendees will
Hi,
not
Deepak.
see it.
Just 1 minute.
How do we do it?
Go to StreamYard.
Is StreamYard open?
I hope you did not close the browser. Yeah. So we can go to StreamYard here, and we need to log in as a remote speaker into the master laptop. So we need the remote speaker link.
Start.
Is there simpler?
Yes.
So
Now it's my great pleasure to
This is just a presentation and what exactly do you
Do you want to share an
laptop?
it's a demonstration.
What you need to do is to share your
if you could
screen
send us,
into
we could share,
StreamYard,
or
but
you
must
could do it
connect you
as
at
well.
first.
You can just share your screen.
How would you get the link to StreamYard?
There are two ways. One thing is it is in the Indico under remote speaking. Or
Like, is there a port for the
yes, the code is the link. No, but the best is when on this laptop, can you in StreamYard do the invite this, and then send it to his email, because his laptop he's using his laptop.
Where is the invite?
Yes, click on the invite guests. So it must be.
email क्या?
Is this a master laptop here? This is a projection laptop.
Or can we use
this laptop and
I'll just send it. I'll send
can we
you.
use this laptop and I'll create a meet so that I can share this screen.
I'll send you the invite link for Streamline. You can log in and I will share your screen.
Okay.
Can you just give your Gmail ID?
Suresh.Mehto. Let me create account.
Give me your Gmail ID.
Suresh.Mehto49.
1 second. हाँ
बोले Suresh.Mehto.
Please give us 2-3 minutes to set this up and validate the submission. And for being patient.
Suresh.Mehto49.
Trying to join from here or?
Yeah, we want to
Yes,
demo.
are you on the internet?
We want to present something.
So,
Then do it on the master one, no? That would be easier.
So
what
we'll
is
have to build and test, set up something there.
have you used the guest link?
Yeah, you can use the guest link. I'll send it over here. Just open it and
No.
once you refresh it. You just
Yeah.
just a display name and sorry, enter your display name.
And also important is that you turn the volume of your laptop down,
Okay.
so that it doesn't have force feedback.
Maybe we can mute it. We don't need the sound.
Can you mute the sound output of your laptop?
I think even the camera. Okay. And you can just share your screen. Present.
Yes. And how do and this I think this one needs to stay connected, that we have the microphones.
Yeah.
These ones. So this laptop needs to
You just need everything else.
yes.
I think you need the
So this one we have to provide the microphone. Yes. So also on this laptop, click here. Yeah, you have muted the internal microphone.
Yeah, muted.
Is there a problem?
He
No, no,
needs to share his screen from his laptop
No, it's okay.
because he wants to do demos.
Yeah, share the screen if you want to present करना है. जो one ठीक है हमको बोलो we'll start in 2 minutes. अभी हो रहा है. नहीं हो रहा है यार. स्क्रीन शेयरिंग में कोई प्रॉब्लम होता है इस प्लेटफॉर्म में.
हाँ नहीं हो रहा है स्क्रीन
नहीं हो
शेयर.
रहा ना. अरे ये नहीं
We can
yeah, I think
I can't present my screen. Share screen.
permissions में कुछ
Yeah, so
you can just do it normally. We will record it from the camera. Till
What?
let him
so
do.
we can do it on that laptop as well. We can stop the present. We can stop this demonstration. We'll do it on camera. That would be perfectly fine.
I didn't understand.
So Yeah, I'm saying that we'll skip this demonstration. We have sent you the slides.
Okay, you send the slides.
Yeah.
If you want, we can still do
No,
it.
it's fine. That would be a bit hassle.
The only thing is that the demos may not be visible in the,
No, no,
the
we will-
live stream.
Yeah.
We will record it. We can record it from this side.
You can hold.
No,
the
it's fine.
camera.
So
Yes,
I.
yes,
Let
yes.
him start. You can start.
Yes, and then you make the
You
picture
can
of the
close this. You
camera
can start
large.
normally.
Yes,
You
yes,
can use your laptop.
yes,
Till, let's leave.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
So they can't see our screen or what?
No, this camera. They will see the screen.
But it's the won't be visible that nice, right?
No, it will be.
The slides will be.
You want to share your screen, no, in the presentation. For the people sitting here, you can share your screen and demonstrate it. For the people who are remotely connected, they'll see through this camera. So I think it will be.
But the camera would be, the view would be, I
I'll
think.
fix the camera. So we will fix the camera. You can just start now. You can just start normally.
Or the best bet would be to do it that way.
Demonstration.
We can just
we can
okay
share.
to skip the demonstration. Let's quickly do that. We have sent you the slides.
Yeah. Where have the slides been?
I'm closing this one
Where have you sent the slides?
in the email. Which email? What
Where we send the slides?
slides? कौन सी email में
Send it
भेजा?
to the link we just. अच्छा, can you just forward it to the mail ID we just sent the mail?
Yeah.
Right, so you won't have any demonstration, it will just be slides.
Yeah.
If you want to do a demonstration for the people sitting here, that could also be managed if you share your.
Yeah, we'll share it in the phone itself. It's fine. We'll manage it. Yeah, send. Yeah, we have sent it.
Can you send it?
Yeah, I sent it. Can you just reload?
You sent it to Pratham.
No, I just sent it now also. It's fine. The email you sent me, I replied to it.
Okay.
ये कैसे बोल देना फोटो खींचने के लिए डबल क्लिक से ही होता है डबल क्लिक से बोल देना
The next session would be based on mobile networks and force. And as speaker today is Kanpur, who is an SIA admin and CSOC and SOK coordinator. And we have Breakout speakers who is SOK and we have Gautam Guru who is also at admin. So please welcome our Breakout.
You can start. Hey everyone, this is Suraj. So I'll be telling you people something about what is the scenario of Linux targeted for mobile devices and something about a project called FOSH. Yeah. So Linux running on mobile. Yeah, next slide. So as I said, you can run Linux as smoothly as possible that you run on your desktop or laptops. There are a variety of distributions that you can choose from, like Mobian, Postmarket OS. My phone runs Manjaro as well, and Pure OS is a specifically Linux distribution made for mobile for Librem 5 devices. Yeah, and as the presentation says, by the way, my phone runs Arch. So let me tell you something about why Linux for mobile devices. So the first point would be reproducible builds. Your phone ships you. Your phone gets shipped with Android operating system, but you are sure what vendor has shipped you along with. They say it's open source, but you don't know what's inside the source code. You can as compared to other platforms, there isn't a abstraction layer in between. All the runs natively in the Linux platform, and we definitely know how difficult it is to build applications like Android apps or iOS apps on top of those platforms. But in this, you don't need heavy SDKs that will burn your laptop around. And the next point, which is very crucial, is since the target of mobile devices that we for prolonged uses. For example, Postmarket OS in their website states that you can get OTA updates for as long as 8 to 10 years. So we think that it's very sustainable and eco-friendly. Next slide. Yeah, so let's talk about a project named Fosh. These are some basic screenshots now about Fosh. We could have done a live demonstration, but let's just go along the presentations. Next one, please. So Fosh stands for phone shell. It's like it's similar to GNOME and KDE, specifically made for mobile devices. It uses Wayland, and it's based on a compositor named WL Roots. Under the hood, it uses GTK and GNOME technologies. It was originally developed by Purism, but now it's under the sub bracket of GNOME projects. So for these, you need specifically made devices that vendors have made for running mobile Linux, but like Librem 5 or Pine phones, but old Android smartphones that have good legacy support, like OnePlus 6, Poco phone, etc., can support these. Yeah, so to develop for Fosh, you don't need extravagant libraries or heavy SDKs. You just need GTK, C to build applications on top of it. Next slide, please. This is the basic structure of Fosh. So one of the blocks in the white are major components of Fosh. Fork is the compositor. Fosh is the main project which handles everything. Squeakboard, it's the keyboard, but we have an alternate keyboard around it, which is Fosh OSK stub. And feedback D mostly revolves around all the feedback mechanisms a phone shell should handle. Since we are talking about handheld devices here and not desktops in general. And the blocks in blue are GNOME technologies that we use using that we can interact, that other components are interacting using dbus. So what all things works? UX is it started off with basic features, but now the user experience is pretty much smooth. It is based on top of libadwaita, which is the design system GNOME uses. Localization support is pretty much good. So recently we integrated GoVernum to OSK stub, which is you can now have localized keyboard support in your phone. Like you can type in English or Malayalam. So for banking, it's something on the gray side here. for banking, we made a workaround. For example, we made a UI wrapper on top of *9 and hash implementation for UPI, and it works. So for banking, we still have to. There's a long road ahead. And if you still want to run your Android applications, you can power up Vaydroid, which is a container-based approach, runs Lineage OS container, and you can run your favorite Android applications on top of it. But I think majority of the Fosh applications are well and good enough, and they run as smooth as natively. Next slide. Yeah, pass on to Batu.
Hi, my name is Gautam, and I am working for Theatre Operation Limited as a software developer, and also one of the contributor of FOSS and GNOME. Recently, FOSS is getting better and better after every release. So here is a key feature of recent progress. So FOSS OS stuff, it is a on-screen keyboard which is experimental, and it have several features. Like it support Indic language. Suppose you want to type in Hindi, like Kanpur, you can just type KANPUR and it will convert into Hindi. And also similar for Malayalam and other Indian language like Tamil and regional language. And next slide. Next slide. So here are the screenshot of OSK. It also support emojis, and there is a Malayalam support, and also it has a swipe feature. While tapping, you can just swipe, and it will complete the word. Yeah, next. So integration, you can also integrate into GTK application with the help of API. Here in screenshot, you can integrate the API which is provided by your electronic vehicle car into the GTK application, so that you can monitor all the batteries and other stuff. Next. So quick setting. The quick setting is setting which you can access quickly. So so this is similar in Android also. So same feature is also here. You can turn on Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and battery percentage. Yeah, next. So this is a list of quick setting. You can manage the quick setting by enabling and disabling it. You can also arrange the quick setting according to what you want on the top of the quick setting status page. And yeah, you can manage and swap according to your need. Next. And folder support. So Shell also support folder, because if you suppose you have a different browser, you can group them into a separate folder named search engine, and you can also take the application out of the folder, and you can also add to the folder. And this is a FOSS mobile setting. FOSS mobile setting is a application which in which you can manage the setting related to the mobile. Like you can also manage the favorite application. You can add or delete from the favorite application. Next. So yeah, FOSS also support emergency call, sound theme, and feedback. Emergency call, you can add all the contacts you want in the time of emergency, and you can just call this. And also there is a support of feedback. You can add whatever you add sound in the phone calls SMS, it will play according to the sound file. And it also supports feedback. Like you can silence the phone on volume button, like vibration and other stuff. Next. Lock screen plugin. So there are a list of plugin which you can want to visual in the lock screen mobile. So suppose you want to show the calendar on the lock screen. You can also manage through the fast mobile setting. You can enable and disable the widgets. So yeah, this is the mobile setting where you can manage all the settings related to the mobile, like top bar application, all the settings. And this is the debug information which is helps using the bug reporting. And if you want to know what's all the component involved in the course, you can just track them there. Yeah, next. And yeah, this is also a new feature. You can suspend from the holding the power button. You can then this will appear. You can suspend from there, and also support a wake up key. You can write the configuration file, and you can suppose you want to click the button and the screen should wake up. You can also manage that. So ongoing progress, the Rudra will discuss.
Hello. Oh, okay. So yeah, thanks, Pratham, and thanks, Suraj. Yeah, so you got the basic gist of what FOSH is and like what are the things that we have done so far. I'll just talk a little bit about the ongoing progress, and we're doing some really cool stuff. So for example, if you go to so one of the things that we're working on is unified push. And if you're coming from Android, iOS, you probably already know the way they send notifications. That they have a basic system wherein Google will send forward the notifications to the various apps, and from there you will get your notifications on the phone. The reasons they do that is obviously to conserve memory, battery, etc. But the unified push is quite cool in that it's completely open source. Firstly, secondly, you can write your own connectors. You have a distributor on your system, and since everything is open source, you already have everything to look at. You can make your own connectors, make your apps listen to the connectors, and so on and so forth. So this is one of the very cool things that Suraj is actually working on. So the next part would be the frog. So this is if you have used Linux, you might have been greeted with a greeter or something on, I think Ubuntu it would be lognd or LightDM, wherein you can choose a session. So for example, you have a Ubuntu, you can choose a session to maybe have some other environment, another flavor. Similarly to that, we have it on, it's a work in progress on mobile, wherein currently if you see, we have a session called FOSH. You can switch it to have maybe a different sessions or something that you wrote. And the good thing is that since FOSH uses FOB, which is based on WL roots, which is a very small lightweight compositor library, you can write your own compositor, you can write your own shell. That becomes really simple. And so that is a device, that is a session greeter, that is work in progress. And the next one would be the search support. Now this is a global search support that supports, for example, regex. You can search your documents. It's also currently being worked on. More or less, it's functional. You can have your applications, all of it is a centralized place. So you don't have to go to a specific application to write search queries and so on and so forth. And the other thing is that, for example, if I'm writing an app for, let's say, the Linux platform, and I want an application to search for it, or if I want my application to be able to provide results to the user, I just have to write an interface, a debug interface, a simple 4-method code, that's it. And then the search will itself talk to my application will provide the results. It's all very generic. So yeah, you can have your custom search results there as well. And so now we have wallpapers. Now, obviously, if you're from iOS or Android, you'll be like wallpapers. So wallpapers, but yeah, it is a work in progress. Self-broadcast support is already there. Let's say you have your government alerts that they are practicing or working on right now. That is supported here. Wallpapers, obviously, it's all run by volunteers. It's all open source. So unless there is, let's say, patches sent or someone else works on it, it is slow. But what is there is quite usable, quite reliable. You don't have to mess with it a lot. So that is vulnerable cell support, all of this. Next, if I go to contributions. So what all things you can contribute on? So I'll just talk a little bit about myself. When I joined the FOSH project, I had no idea about how to do open source contribution or anything. For the first week, I just looked at the source code and I don't think I did anything major. But the important thing there is that the community was collaborative. The maintainers, the people that have already worked there, were very supportive. Slowly and slowly, I was able to push patches, push some contributions. So now, what all the things that you can work on are, if you could go to the next slide. Right. So design and user experience, UI UX, obviously. I know a lot of people that are sending mockups to the FOSH channel, FOSH, so that we have a better UI UX experience. Currently, if you look at it, looks a little outdated maybe, but I think that's fine. I think we are willing to sacrifice a little bit on that. Second is documentation. Documentation, I think, is very important. If you guys might have seen yesterday's talk by on the firmware by Google, you will know that they stress a lot on debugging, and I think documentation helps a lot in that regard. So yeah, you can send documentation, just read the source code. Maybe you find something that's not there that should be there, so on and so forth. Second, we have development. Since it's all based on GTK, glib, and we're primarily using C to develop FOSH and the related subsystems, you can do like everything in GTK. GTK is a very, I would say it's a very extensive, very reliable library that when you first, it has its own bugs, but when you get to it, it just works. So that's there. Second is obviously testing and just having discussions around it, making others aware about it. You can obviously test it on your local system as well, and it will work there also. So that is there. And I think now it's, could you go to the next slide? Yeah, I'll hand it over to Suraj. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Rudra and Gautam. I'll quickly wind this up. So, what do you need to contribute? As I said, you don't need heavy SDKs to build for FOSH. You just need some basic DOM libraries, glib systems, and GTK setups, along with language bindings. I think so. FOSH. Our project is we are updating a lot of stuff. We are building a lot of cool stuff, and we are also integrating newer technologies. So I think I think Rudra missed one point that we are also working on this library called libfosh rs, which is basically adding Rust language bindings for FOSH project. So the first entry point would be you would go to the FOSH wiki, and it includes all the development guide, documentation guide that you need to start on developing for FOSH. You can always file bug reports. If we really appreciate if you test FOSH in your devices. As I said, these are quite supported in old Android smartphones like OnePlus 6, OnePlus 6E, so you can flash FOSH on top of it, on top of your choice of Linux like Mobian or Postmarket OS, and then test it for us and send us bug reports. No, the previous slide. Yeah, so these are basic websites where you can find us, find about us. This one, first one is the website. The second one is our fostered on page, so you can get latest updates about what's going on in the FOSH project. And this is our matrix channel, so you can discuss anything and everything about mobile Linux in general and specifically to FOSH project. I'll just give a quick demo of how does the FOSH look. Yeah, so this is the latest version of excellent.
You can try on this one as a
This one was 1+6 which was running Mobian, which is a Debian version of Debian for mobile phones, and right now this is Manjaro, so you can run your Arch Linux system along the phone. Everything works running good, and but this one is a time phone. Probably time phones or Debian phones are a bit difficult in India, but if you get hold of one, it is definitely for using.
Thank you so much, Gautam. I really love the presentation. If any of you have
for the live streaming. You can do
right, let's have you.
Is it fine now?
Is it fine here? It's fine.
So now we have a session by Arunal now about climbing the ladder, open source ladder, right from the first summit to network. So Arunal Kumar is a software engineer at Red Hat and he's a chief of mentor at Cosmos. So please welcome him to the number.
Hello everyone. So I am here to present on how you can become a maintainer from first commit, and we'll be going into what you should do in an open source project and what you shouldn't, and how you can actually climb this ladder. Next slide, please. A little bit about me. I work at Red Hat and I have been participating in Google season of docs and Google season of Google Summer of Code. I've also been mentoring the Fossology project since 2022. I work on OpenShift applications in general, Tecton CD, and in my free time, I like to watch anime and see people fight on the internet. Next, please. Okay, so here's the agenda for today. We'll be going through a little bit of open source landscape, how it looks like, what programs are there, and after that we'll be see what are the contribution challenges people face, and then how many roles are there in open source, how do you transition roles, and what etiquette you should follow, and at last we will see some question and answers. So, as you can see, there are quite a few programs here: LFX, MLH, Google Season of Docs, Code, and a lot many. So this is just a brief overview of the famous programs that we have in open source. There are a lot many, you can find them. And for starters, they often ask the question that, okay, where should I get a project? How should I start? So you can just go to any of the event website and you can find a lot of good open source projects to start from. So you can know more about Google Summer of Code in our upcoming talk by my fellow mentors. We will see that too. Next. So let's discuss what I worked on during my GSOC. So I contributed to Fossology org in 2021. And Fossology is an open source license compliance project. So you can use it to scan for licenses and copyright notices in your source code. And that will help you with compliance activity. You will know more about the compliance in upcoming talk. And so Fossology build system, if you might know, a build system is basically what compiles your project and lets you install it on your system or servers. So before my project, FirstLogic build system was based on multi-file make files, and they work together to create a build infrastructure. Now, if you go to FirstLogic, it's a complex project. There are more than 20 plus agents. You need to compile each of them, and then you need to make sure that they work all together in unison. Make is a robust file system. It's a robust file system, but it's very outdated. And when you get a large number of make files, it's really hard to maintain, and you also lose on some of the parallel capabilities. So it's rather slow. So my project was to migrate the whole project from makefile based build to CMake. Now CMake is a makefile generator. So if you use CMake, internally it will generate makefiles, but you don't have to do that yourself. It will automatically generate it for you, and also put some extra features like you can get parallel builds, and it's much faster. Like previously with make files, we had to go for like 10-20 minutes for compiling the whole project. Now you can do it in maybe 2 or 3 minutes if you have a fast system. So that was really an improvement. Next, please. So what were the challenges that I faced when doing this project? Now you have to understand that this is not particular to Google Summer of Code. It is a common problem that you will face when contributing to any open source project. So let's start with familiarity with the tech stack. So let's assume you are just a fresh contributor who is trying to look out in open source that, okay, what should I start with? How do I familiarize myself with the tech stack that the project is using? This was also my first challenge, because when I applied for the project, I was very new with CMake. And so it was selling fresh waters for me as well. Next was understanding the existing build system. As I said, FirstLogic is a complex project. It was really hard to get every detail about how the previous build system worked and how can I replicate it with my new project. And third one is navigating. So when you have like thousands of files in a project, it's really hard to navigate the project to know where everything belongs, how can you start, where to start. And feasibility. So because it was a new project and the FirstLogic community was also very new to CMake, so we had to do a feasibility analysis of, is it really feasible to move from make files to CMake? And if yes, how much time it will take, in what way it will be working, and how the community will get on board into it. Those all things were also the part of the project. Lastly, testing. If I was really able to do it, then how can you test that it reproduce the exact setup? Because whenever you are doing a change in a project, you have to always make sure that you don't break the existing systems. If you break it, then your project is like dying. So you don't want to kill your project. And lastly, community. Out of all these challenges, I think community is the most important one. So when you are working in an open source project, you have to get familiar with a lot of people. They can be mentors, they can be maintainers, or just some people who are there for fun, you can say. People like to contribute to open source for fun. And a lot of times you will need to interact with people to know about the project, or if you are running into some issues, or if you are contributing and you want someone to review your project. So community is a big part of any open source program. And so once we went through all of these challenges, then we started looking on to how you can mitigate it. So before going to how we can mitigate it, I would like to introduce you to what roles we have in open source. You can have a lot of roles. You can create a role for yourself. You can say that, yeah, I am the dictator of this project, and perfectly valid. But I would like to categorize it into 3 parts: mentee, mentor, and maintainer. Now, one thing to note is you can be all of them in different projects at the same time. So for one project, you can be a mentee, the other you can be a mentor, and yet another you can be a maintainer. It's not exclusive. You can be all of them at the same time. Now, what a mentee is. So when you are starting with any project, you are a mentee. And you are learning how to get familiar with the project, like you have very basic knowledge about it. Then once you are experienced enough, you go into mentors. Now you will be onboarding other newcomers and you have a little more familiarity with the project. And lastly, maintainers. Those are the people who know deep about the project and they can basically do anything in a project. So these are the roles. Now we'll be seeing the responsibilities. Next. So responsibilities and expectations. Each roles you might have heard of, with power comes responsibility. This is similar to it. So mentee, as a mentee, you would be looking for good first issues, and then you will be looking for understanding the project, getting familiar with the community, learning open source contribution flow. So those of you who might not know what is open source contribution flow, this is basically, you don't have to put everything in a pull request and push it and just merge it. Doesn't happen like that. First you find the issue, then you get the source code, you create your own branch, then you create a pull request, you assign someone to, like it can be mentors or maintainers, someone reviews it, and then it get approved, and then it get merged. It's open source. In general, we call it open source contribution flow. Now, as a mentor, you are someone who is actively contributing to a project. You are also reviewing pull requests and issues. You are onboarding new contributors to the project. You are also working as community moderators. So whenever you are, like, let's say there are new people in the community, you help them find resources to how to actually navigate the project, understand it, build it, compile it. Lastly, you'll be mentoring in open source programs like Google Summer of Code or Outreachy or LFX. And maintainers. So the maintainers is the, you can say, the top level engineers or developers in a project. They are admins. They'll be running the programs. They'll be looking over the project. They'll be making the important decisions. They have the merging rights. So once your PR is approved, they'll be merging it. They also have the in-depth understanding of the project. And at last, they are called legends. Like you might know about Linus Torvalds. Everyone calls them a legend. So what I want to focus on is, again, you can be all of them for different projects at the same time. For like, I am a mentor in Fossilizer, but I am a maintainer of Tecton City. So it's basically, in open source, there is no hierarchy like you have to be only one of them. It's like equality for all. It's an inclusive environment where you can be whatever you want based on your contribution. What matters in open source is how your ability to contribute. Nobody cares if you are a child, if you are a professional, if you are any gender. So everything is just non-existential there. All matters is what is your contribution. Next. So transitioning. How do you actually transition from mentee to maintainer? It's rather easy. If you are familiar with this meme, level सबके निकलेंगे, लेकिन निकलेंगे उनके जो खड़ा रहेगा. So persistence is the key. You start with your first contribution, you do your second, you do your third contribution. You keep doing contribution for 6 years, 7 years, 10 years. And then one day you are a maintainer. Why does this matter? It doesn't only matter for your professional development, it also matters for your own skill development. So if you keep doing the same things for years, you might get into transitioning a new role. But there are few etiquettes as well that you should follow that will help you guide your path. Next one. So what you should do and what you shouldn't do in an open source project. Again, this is not particular to getting accepted into Google Summer of Code. This is basically about how you can actually go into open source project and start contributing. So the first one is explore. As a mentor, we get a lot of questions about, okay, I'm not understanding the project. Can you help me with this? Where are the resources? If you find a project, explore it first. Try to find as much information as you can by yourself and then ask the mentors. So you don't have to spam the Slack channels with your questions. Explore first and then ask. Next is show effort. If you tell me that, okay, I searched this, I did this, and it didn't work, then I'll be more interested in helping you rather than just seeing question that, okay, this is not working. Can you help me with this? No, don't do that. And we often provide steps to newcomers that, okay, see, this is the program website, and these are the build instructions. Can you please go through it? But newcomers, most of the time, they are like, okay, why do I need to go through 10-page documentation to learn all this? I can just go to the last page and build it. Don't do that. Go through the steps. Be persistent. Again, you have to be there until it happens. You have to be persistent, go daily, contribute regularly, try it. You don't have to withdraw from anything, neither the program, not from contribution. Be respectful to the community. As I said, community is the most important part of the open source program. It is what makes open source different from any other thing. Don't bother anyone. There are people from all world and like with varying backgrounds. So you don't have to be disrespectful to anyone. Ask questions. If you don't understand anything, ask. If you don't ask, we can't assume that you're not understanding anything. Ask valid questions. Show efforts that you have done your research, and then we'll be able to help you. Next. Yeah, so that was my time. If you have any questions, you can ask. Anyone?
Okay, so the thing is, for like a general recommendation I've seen about like getting into JSON kind of system, like contact the project supervisors or whoever, get in contact with them, get used to the workflow if you already contributed before they hire us, right? But also at the same time, I've also seen a lot of people like I was accepted into JSON when I got there, I had no idea and initial idea, I had no initial idea. So those who feel very contradictory and don't completely understand. So is prior experience, prior contact required, or are there some specific transferable skills that they're actually looking for, or what else?
So this is a very opinionated question. It varies project to project. But in general, I would say that if you are contributing to a project, if you have good contribution, any project would be happy to take you. Like, it's not necessary that you are contributing to my project, only then I'll be preferring you. If you have previously contributed to some other project, then I can see your profile and I can take a guess that, okay, this might be a good candidate for my program because he knows things. So that contribution matters. It doesn't matter that if you are only contributing to a project and if you don't know anything, then, again, it can vary organization from organization. They have different preferences. In my particular org, we always welcome students who are already contributing. We will be giving preference to them because they know the work, right? That answers your question. Thank you. Anyone else? If nothing, then next slide, please. Yeah, so we'll be having another talk from my project maintainers in the same room at 4:50, I guess, contributing to open source. It's a 40-minute talk, and you will be knowing into what fossology project is, how you can actually start with fossology, and a lot of knowledge about Google Summer of Code and open source in general. Please attend that as well. And yeah, thank you for listening, and you can find me on GitHub and LinkedIn. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arun.
Bingo.
So now, we need the lunch join us back.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Sorry.